Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome wherever you are in the world watching today from the 2022 International Axe Throwing Championships and the Wilson Cup. We are back after a couple years of lockdowns and COVID. We are back and we are happy to be back, and we welcome everybody from around the world joining us today on our YouTube channels. Before we begin, we would like to take a moment to recognize our presence on the traditional lands of many Indigenous peoples, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat peoples. The land is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We are honored to play and compete with you here today. As a grateful gesture of our support to the people of nations whose land we are on, the IATF has made a $500 donation to the Anishinaabe Nation 7th Generation Charity. We would also like to encourage you to learn more about the lands you live on by visiting nativeland.ca. A great cause there for sure, and very much needed. Welcome everybody, and thank you again for joining us. My name is Tom Black. I will be your host this afternoon. I'm joined here by Jenna Gerhardt.
Hi,
and
Tom.
on the floor we have Mark Davis, who will be running some interviews for us this afternoon. How is everybody doing today? We are here to get started with the 2022 International Axe Throwing Championship. This is an exciting day. We're back after a long break, as we mentioned, coming in on the opening. Jenna, tell us a bit about it.
It's exciting. It's nice to see everybody back in the space again, because almost 2.5 years ago we had this place packed with finals, so exciting to see that. I know it's like the electricity in the building. You can definitely feel the energy today. Yes. Despite some gloomy weather, but we'll make it through.
Definitely a little bit of rain happening outside. I think it's maybe paused for the moment. There's calls for some thunderstorms, but they got some tents for the outside folks that are watching on the big screens. Thanks for joining us out there. Good to see you all. And for the people inside, as you said, yes, lots of energy in the building, lots of excitement for the final 32.
Yeah.
We're in the finals of the IATC. 32 competitors have made their way through day one, which took place yesterday at various battle locations throughout Toronto. Thank you to the Backyard Axe Throwing League for hosting all the first rounds of the bracket.
Yeah.
And thank you to Battle Pickering today for hosting us for the final 32. As we try to make our way through the bracket, we will get down to the final stages of this tournament, and we will crown one champion that gets to hoist the Wilson Cup.
One exciting day.
And on top of that, we also have the prize pool. The prize pool isn't anything to shy away from.
Thing.
That is the big thing. It is a $30,000 prize pool this year, with prize money being paid out to the top 32. So everybody that has competed and made it to this far in the tournament will be walking away with some money. As it comes up on the screen here, first place today will be walking away with $12,000. Second place, $4,500. Third place will head home with $3,000. Fourth place takes home $1,800. And then the list will continue on through on the screen there. But a good opportunity to win some money, and more importantly, to earn the title as the best axe thrower 32-player bracket. We will have some matches here for us we are located above the orange lanes here, looking down on the action here. As the day moves along, we will make our way down into the semifinals, and all matches will be taking place in front of us, but we will keep you up to date on where we are in the bracket and what's happening in today's matches, and who's winning, who's losing, and who's making their way closer to that final spot.
Yeah.
Jenna, do you want to take us through the bracket at this point and let us know who's made it from where? So as the bracket moved along, we'll let everybody know. We started with 256 competitors. We worked our way down to 8 from each of the 4 venues that hosted the tournament yesterday. And Jenna, go ahead and name off the 8 that made it from each of our locations.
So we have the top 4 from A bracket, top 4 from B bracket, from Vaughan, Stockyards, Portland, and Pickering. So let's start with Pickering, because we're currently there. In A bracket, we still have Moira, we have Nick, Dave, and Dave. So I've got Moira, her nickname is Mojo. Nick is Nick K from Alberta. I've got Clean Dave from Riot Axe in Guelph, and Saikon. And And then B bracket, we've got Brandon McLeister, Jonathan Morgan, who you might recognize the name of as he came in second place in 2020. I've got John Bradley and Cooper Rogers for B bracket from Pickering. Now in Vaughan from A bracket, we have Curtis Atkins, Kimmy Supnett, Cameron DeBro, and Colin Blythe. B bracket still kicking around. We have Scott Brown, Mike Cowell, Sam Halderson, and Kyle Fournette. From Stockyards yesterday, we have Austin Agosti, Jeff Yateman, Andrew Boylan, Mark. I'm so sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Got Mark, whose nickname is ANT, and we're going to stick with that. We've got Starling from B bracket, Chris Royce, Makita French, Michael Kump in B bracket there. And last but not least, from Portland, from A bracket, we have Dave Ovizo, Matt Cramper, Julio, whose nickname is El Creepo, as a little fun fact for you. I've got Mason Wong, and then in B bracket, Rander, who is the title holder currently, sitting in B bracket from Portland. Jason Burrill, Simon Arsenault, and Matt C.
Perfect, thank you, Jenna. And as you mentioned there, we have the A and the B bracket. This is a double elimination tournament. Different than what we've seen in past years, in that in the past we had standard rule set. The standard rule set was majority rule. You hit the bullseye, you could be 50% or more, measuring again from the outside of that, of the paint value, measuring from the outside in or the outside down, and if you get 50% or more, then you get those points. Different today.
Yes.
Tell us about the Premier rules, Jenna.
So Premier has added a whole different layer to the game, and so for players to consider a good bullseye now, it has to be fully in the paint and in the bullseye. And so if you bleed a little bit outside of that, and that's what we're going to see a lot of today, is that call where it's right at the edge of the line, and you're going to get a lot of people hitting threes that look like perfect bullseyes. And so we've got some cameras set up for that zoom in, so you'll be able to see how close people get. And then our Premier clutches are a little different as well.
That's a big one too.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Yes.
You're used to that standard full green clutch, whereas now there's a white rectangle that's been added in, and so players need to break the top plane and the bottom plane of that clutch for it to be considered good. So now even if they wedge in, because a lot of people throw on an angle and they'll get just the edge of their accent or just the tip of the accent, and so if that just breaks the surface of it, if it's in that white rectangle, but it's not breaking the top of the bottom, not considered a good clutch anymore.
And that's huge, because it used to just be you touch that green paint, you get those points.
Exactly.
So huge change there, and it's all in the name of making it more competitive, making it more challenging for the players, because not that it was getting too easy before, but we always want to raise that level of competition, right? And make sure we're getting the best. So we may see some lower scores today as we work our way through the tournament. Some shots, as Jenna mentioned, that may have in the past looked like they were a good solid 5 are now going to be measured as a 3 because they're touching a millimeter into the 3 zone. And that'll be a big difference. We may not see as many clutches today. We may see the clutch percentages come down compared to past years. Simply because of, as you mentioned, you got to make sure you're getting it in that white box, and 2 steps to it, as you said, top and bottom got to be broken. So touching the green's not good enough. So don't be surprised if you are seeing some lower scores today, but the level of competition is that much higher because of the fact you have to be perfect. Now, before we get too far in here, we do want to give a shout out to our officials here today. We have 2 sets of officials. We have our official scorekeepers and we have our official referees. The referees you'll see coming on and off the screen wearing the traditional black and white striped jerseys, and then our scorekeepers, which will be on the lane making that first call. So on our black lanes, which will be off screen today, but we'll still mention our referees there, we have Mark Newell and Mark Robinson. The Marks from Pickering will be working those lanes. On red lane, we will have Brett Nowak and Genevieve Castaneda. On the green lanes, we will have Chris O'Neill and Nate Payne. And on the orange lanes, which we will see quite a bit of today to start the day, will be Tiffany Acasio and Elliot McKenzie Halls will be the ones on the main screen today as we're scoring matches here and as we get into the event. Our official referees today, Matt Wilson taking off his commissioner jersey and throwing on his refereeing hat. And he will be one of our main referees, followed by Alex Bordeaux and Wes Thomas. So if you see them walking around in their jerseys, if you're at the venue here today, come and say hi to everybody and thank them for all their hard work today. But they are in the building and they are here today, helping us take care of the scoring, take care of some of the official ruling calls. So the scorekeepers are on the lanes. They will make that first call. then they will turn to the referee if it's something super close, like we mentioned. It's going to be millimeters today. Like, we're not talking 50% anymore. Yeah. We're talking millimeters. So in those cases where it's too close to call, the referees will come in and make that final call.
And with calls being so close, where, like, I worked at Vaughan yesterday as one of the official referees, and so you're taking photos of things, you're zooming in on it, you have your flashlight on your phone, or another venue had flashlights available for judgment calls. Because when you're getting this close, where 99% of your blade is in the ring and is in paint, and then you're breaking out just slightly outside of that, you're going to want a second opinion to make sure that everything is fair, everything is ruled accurately.
And with axe throwing, and the way the sport is built out and the way it's designed, it is a very sportsman type sports. A lot of camaraderie between the players. Everybody knows everybody. Funny stories happen where you see these big people with lots of tattoos and big beards, and these tiny other folks walking around that you wouldn't think would be throwing an axe or anything, and you might be intimidated to go talk to some of these people, but first thing they're going to do after a match is give you a big hug.
Exactly.
A lot of love in the air around this place and in this sport, but a lot of competition, a lot of big competition here. But being such a close, tight-knit sport and with lots of sportsmanship, the call does go to the players first. If the players can agree that the point value is good, it is a 5, it is a 3, or the clutch is good, we go with that. We trust the players. They're competing against each other, but if they're unsure, then we go to the scorekeepers, and scorekeepers can come in and make that call. And if it's that close, then we turn it down to the referees, and the referees make that final decision. So as the matches move along today, we will be watching the first few matches that we watch today will be best 3 out of 5. Scored. To win the match, you have to win 3 rounds. Each round is 5 axes. The best of those 5 axes wins the round. If they tie a round, they do go to an overtime round, and they will throw the big axe. The big axe, same rules with the big axe. Yes, Jetta?
Oh, for Premier, entirely. So whenever they start, so there is one discrepancy when it comes to big axe, though. So at the start of the day, players in their first game get 3 practice throws for hatchet. Now, no matter when your first big axe game is, you get 1 practice throw for your first shot. And so the format today is meant to get the best throws out of people. So the first throw meant to be practiced. Immediately afterwards, second throw, you go in and you take your actual shot. So hopefully seeing some lower scores on that practice and some dead center bullseyes. But for big axe, you do have to bull in, so you have to unlock the clutch. You are not allowed to just go for clutches immediately after your practice throw or as soon as you start throwing big axe. So that adds a little bit of drama to the sport. But it is Premier rules. You have to be 100% in that bullseye to fully unlock it and then be eligible for clutches. And now the other thing with clutches with big axe is a lot of other clubs have like a little camaraderie rule so that you don't get stuck on clutches for the entire evening, which makes sense in a league setting. For us, though, and in the Federation rules, you can go clutches. Once you've unlocked that clutch, you keep going as many times as you want. Your arms might get a little tired, but you can keep going and keep going. So we're going to see hopefully some pretty intense clutch battles with big axe.
And that, the one point you mentioned there about having to activate your clutch, that's a big one that we saw. It was part of the tournament last year, or pardon me, last time we were able to do this, where you do have to, as you said, hit that bullseye to make sure you can then go for a clutch. So that could be a difference today as well, especially with the no bleed rules, with the Premier rules. That could be a big factor today.
Yeah, you might get people that want to play it a little more safe that would rather stick down and stay at the bullseye instead.
Yes, exactly, and a lot of decisions to make when you're up there because of your confidence and your ability. Well, saying that, we have the top 32 in the world playing right now, so we could see a lot of clutches today regardless. A lot of nice, clean bullseyes.
That's one thing I love about the sport, and no matter who's winning the bracket currently or who's up in games or not up in games, you're going to get people that go into that game that want to go through clutches. That they're confident in those calls, they're going to go for clutches, or they're going to come back, and then they're going to stay with bullseyes depending on how they're feeling. So I think we're going to see some people maybe stay down for big axe a little bit more that want to hit like another bullseye or two. And even unlocking the bullseye, it might not happen on the first throw. It might take a few tries to get a full 100% in their full Premier bullseye. So I'm not going to be thrown off if we see a few more bullseye attempts before we see some clutch attempts for big axe. So.
And today as well, as you see the matches going on here below us, we will begin calling these matches soon. We just want to make sure we go through everything, get everybody up to date on everything that's happening, in the sport, some of the changes that have been made to the rules, as we've said, and we'll pick up some of the matches. But as you continue to see some of the matches taking place on the screen, then you'll know what we're talking about.
Live examples, that's all this is.
Yes, exactly, and that's what we're all about here, making things live and on the fly. So as we move in here, before we get too far in, we also want to thank some of our sponsors who, without them, we wouldn't be able to make this tournament happen today. One of our longtime sponsors, Woodhouse Brewery, they have been with us for many years, supporting this tournament, supporting axe throwing as a whole in various of our member venues within the IATF. Woodhouse has been a big one for us there as well. Beyond the Pale, Clean Cut Lager. They're another sponsor that's come on this year. And Jenna, you're familiar with them. They're out of Ottawa.
Big fan of Beyond the Pale. So Beyond the Pale, it was originally just a beer we had on tap at Battle Ottawa. And then as we started gaining a little bit more motion with them, we were able to expand and put them into every single battle location in Ontario, which has been really, really nice. So definitely go check them out. I know if you're here on site currently, hanging out outside, they've got some drinks flowing out there already for you. So grab a pint.
Very good. And our next sponsor is White Claw Hard Seltzer, and that was a big craze prior to the pandemic. They were a new company coming out then, and we all remember how delicious those beverages are, the White Claw Hard Seltzers. They are another sponsor that has come on this year, and we appreciate their support. Also hydrating us here today, we have Liquid Death. Water in a can. They have a couple of options there for Liquid Death. You have the sparkling option and you have the fresh mountain water option. Very delicious, nice, smooth, and clean, and environmentally friendly at that, in the nice can that can be reused and recycled. And our final sponsor that we would like to thank as well is Sandbagger Gin, hard-based seltzer. They've come on as well. Another delicious product that is, again, supporting a lot of the venues and partners within the IATC and have helped us out. So as we move down into the action here, we are picking up this match. It is in the 5th round as we look into here now, in this best 3 out of 5 between Simon Arsenault and Matthew Colavecchia. And they are currently, as we look at it here, Colavecchia is up. Pardon me, Colavecchia is up 2-0. We are in round number 3. I got ahead of myself a bit there, Jenna, looking at all the numbers on the screen there, but it is a 2-0 lead for the gentleman also known as Sheep Toast, who we mentioned a few times last time we were on a broadcast a couple years ago. He has gone far in this tournament in the past. He is a previous winner of the N65 tournament that took place up at Peterborough Axe a few years ago. And his opponent is that one guy, Simon Arsenault.
Which is just a great axe throwing nickname. There was a matchup he had yesterday with that one guy and then the other guy. And they didn't know each other. They met each other that day, which was hilarious. So I think it's one of those things in the axe throwing world where you're like, that matchup had to happen. We knew it was going to.
And then it did. So as we look here now, we are in round number 4. That one guy took round 3 to pull it back to 2-1, giving himself a chance here as we head to round number 4. Looks like we have a couple good bullseyes, but we're going to have a look at that one guy. His might be a little bit high as our scorekeeper's taking a look. She says it's okay. Our referee, Matt Wilson, is coming in here, and he confirms good bullseye. So we stay tied 10-10 here in round number 4. That's another one of those close ones where the scorekeeper has had to go in, and then the referee is going to come in as just as that secondary support.
So you can see a lot of people today, too, they're going to try to land on that angle. So less amount of blade in there, less room for error when your blade connects with the actual target.
Yes, trying to keep that bottom out of the board to get that points. Now we did have a 3 there from that one guy, so he is down by 2. Final axe, he needs to go clutch here.
Now
he's thrown. It looks like it's maybe a little bit outside here as Matt Wilson comes in to make that call. No good. It is, in fact, just wide. Tough call, and that's going to do it for this match. 3-1. Sheep Toast takes this one, and he moves on.
Now, you notice there when they zoomed in on the clutch itself, some venues have added a little Sharpie outline to their Premier clutch, so you get a better visual. And so especially depending on the kind of paint you're using, depending on the board you're throwing on, paint's going to react a little differently. And so we're looking for always that crisp edge. And so if you zoom in on the clutch again, or if we ever see it, when we see it, because we will, there'll be a little black outline to the Premier clutch. And so that counts in their favor.
Right.
You want to take that into account. So if they break that Sharpie line top to bottom, doesn't have to just be the white rectangle, however venues choose to outline that.
And that was something that did need to, as you mentioned, need to be solved coming into the tournament, because there was issues with the bleeding of the markers. We were having some trouble with that, so that was a good find that they put in place, and we've got some nice clean clutches here today.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they are throwing on some pretty soft wood right now, and that wood has been provided by Elm City Cottonwood. We have got cottonwood for all the matches this weekend. They have supplied the wood to us. Great sponsor for us, and this tournament would not have happened without Elm City. You can't throw axes if you don't have a wood target. So thank you to Elm City for providing all the cottonwood at all the venues that took part in the IATC 2022 Wilson Cup, and for supplying us with that cottonwood.
Exactly. You see a lot more venues transitioning from a light pine board to cottonwood instead. And so I know a lot of people today were excited to throw on it yesterday. Some competitors first time throwing on cottonwood. I know at my home venue we don't have it yet. People are really excited about it. I had almost everyone here yesterday ask me about it. Like, when are we getting cottonwood? I love this. So very excited.
And it is exciting. Now we have mentioned the sponsors already. We are going to reel them up on the screen here so you can see their logos and know who we were talking about, with Elm City Cottonwood, Woodhouse Brewery, Beyond the Pale, Clean Cut Lager, White Claw Hard Seltzer, and Liquid Death, as well as Sandbagger gin-based hard seltzer. So those will come up on the screen here as we look into our next match. And Sheep Toast looks like he's right back at it here, facing his opponent, Mojo, who's one of our female competitors who has made it through today, which is a big step. We had Kimmy Soupnet is also still in the tournament. We have a few. There's several female throwers still within the tournament, still within shooting range of winning this thing. And we hope to see that happen, potential for that to happen. Kimmy, as we mentioned, was the highest rated female a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I believe she
Made it,
still
I believe,
holds
until
up there.
within the top 16 somewhere.
Yeah.
And we expect big things from her today, but maybe Mojo steps up as she's facing Sheep Toast here now, and that looks like a good bullseye from her. And
Find that rhythm.
sure enough, it's in there, but she finds herself, Moira Girard, also known as Mojo, down by 2 on the final acts of round 1 here. Sheep Toast making it tough and forcing that clutch. So here goes Mojo, looking to tie round 1, send us to Big Axe. Oh, it looks like she's maybe got it as the camera pans in here. Oh, maybe just outside. Matt Wilson is being called in again. These players are right on the line here today.
Now these can be tricky too, because we've seen calls in the past where they've broken the bottom plane, but they've just been outside on that top plane. And so we're going to take a photo of it, zoom in, see what we can see.
Yes, exactly. I was just going to say the cameras are being brought out to get that extra zoom and see what this point value is going to be. It's very close. Like, as you can see on your screen there, it was, as long as it's touching that black outside line, that's still okay, but
Yep.
it still needs to make connection with the top and bottom, as you mentioned earlier. So that's what they'll be deciding now, is if it's touching that outside line, and then they'll be looking to see if it's touching the top and bottom. Not that it needs to touch the outside line, but if it is outside, that outside line,
It's good.
then it's, well, no, in that case it would be no good, but if it's touching, then they're okay. And it's good! What a call, as I accidentally clapped there. I got excited
I
about
know,
that one.
same.
And Mojo has tied it, so we're going to head to Big Axe here. So we're going to get to take a look at Big Axe as they decide who's going to throw first. And it looks like it's going to go to Sheep Toast first. So his first throw here is not going to count. It's just going to be a warm-up.
It's a nice thing about having your practice throw right before your actual throw. Your competitor might have already had their practice throw in a different game that they played. And And so it gives you that chance to still warm up and go back-to-back without pausing and then trying to get back in the zone.
And it looks like a 3 there from Sheeptoes as he's a little bit high on that one. Matthew Colavecchia, also known as Sheeptoes, goes high. So Moira Girard with an opportunity. That's her practice. I apologize, there is no practice. She's already had one, so it is only in her first match. I was unaware, and there it is, bullseye. So Mojo takes a 1-0 lead in this best 3 out of 5. What a throw there. She puts it right on that outside line, Jetta.
It's satisfying to see people in their element and get that bullseye.
Now, Mark Davis, you're down on the floor. How's the crowd down there?
Crowd down here is pretty hyped. I'm glad you didn't throw to me in the middle of that throw, because you probably wouldn't be able to hear me. This is an interesting match to watch. Matt Colavecchia, he is a well-traveled axer. He throws out of many venues, Battle of Vaughan, Peterborough Axe, Warriors a bunch of times. Moira Girard out of Urban Axes Durham, actually. I was just looking at her stats on axescores.com. In the entire existence of the Premier rule set, she has only gone for the left clunch once. It's the right one or nothing from Moira. This is an intense matchup to watch. Sheep Toast knocked me to beat yesterday, so I'm trying my best to be an unbiased reporter right now.
Well, Mark, we're sad you're out of the tournament, but we're certainly happy to have you as part of the broadcast this year. It's great to have you with us. Thanks for that insight. It's interesting to hear, as you mentioned there, Mojo only throwing for the right clutch. You see a lot of players, they get in their comfort zone and they stick with it.
And it also depends. Some people, the way your venue is built, maybe you don't like going for one clutch because maybe you find yourself a little closer to a certain partition. So I know here things are pretty wide open. You've got room to pick left or right, whichever clutch looks nicer. It doesn't matter.
As long as you call it, you can go for it on that 5th and final throw. And Mojo's going to do it again here. Which is she going to go? Probably the right. Certainly she is. She lines it up. Oh, and she's low. Little bit low, little bit outside. And Sheep Toast is going to tie the match at 1-1. We head to round number 3. We've got ourselves a good one here. That's 3 out of 5, as we've mentioned. Tied 1-1, Sheep Toast and Mojo. Looks like 2 good bullseyes there as we head to the second axe. Tied at 5. So 2 good competitors here. We could be down to the wire for this one. Oh, couple tight ones, 3 from Sheep Toast. And a good bullseye from Mojo, as you see there. Good checking with her opponent to make sure he's good with it. And we don't need to call in the scorekeeper to make a decision. And we stay at a 2-point lead for Mojo. Couple of bullseyes there, and it stays now 15-13. So the point values, as you're looking at the board here, the black ring in the middle is 5, the red ring is 3, and the blue ring is worth 1. Anything that hits and falls is worth 0. On the 5th and final throw, you can call clutch, and that's the 2 green dots up in the top corners with that little white box that can get you 7 points. And here goes Mojo. Clutch. She chooses to go for bullseye, and she gets it. And that forces Sheep Toast into a clutch situation to tie and send us to Big Axe here in round number 3. And it looks like he's nailed it. Thumbs up from the referee. And that sends us back to Big Axe for the 2nd time in this match. Mojo forgetting her axe in the board there. She gets to go take it out now that the round is done. We head to Big Axe to decide this one.
Now this is something that a lot of league members do and a lot of the community does. And so Sheep Toast went first in their first Big Axe matchup. So for round 2, whenever they go to their next Big Axe game, they're going to swap it up.
We get the front, nice close look here as Mojo's going to go first. Setting that standard, and she sets it at a 3, which leaves the door open for Sheep Toast. A nice clean bullseye He'll get the 5, and he'll take a 2-1 lead in the match. Oh, and he's a little high, so Mojo stays alive. We go to the second axe of Big Axe here to decide round 3. Oh, and Mojo's a little low. That'll be 3 points, and again leaves the door open for Cheap Toast. And he's low, almost hitting the identical spot there is Mojo. Now, you may be wondering, they haven't gone clutch yet. There hasn't been an opportunity yet, though. They have not activated those bullseyes. Or, pardon me, activated the clutch by hitting their bullseye.
There it is.
Let's see if Mojo can do it here. Ooh, looks like it's just wide. Sure enough it is, so that's another 3. And again, for the 3rd time in this Big Axe, Sheep Toast can put it away with a bullseye. A little chuckle between the players there, so they give a quick tapping of the axes to get a reset here for Sheep Toast. Oh, and he's high, so we keep going.
They're just building suspense. They're trying to entertain the crowd.
Now, the good news here, though, Jenna, is in the past, those would have been bullseyes.
Or at least divisible. You got to measure it.
Divisible, yeah. Now it's no doubt, and that's no doubt for Mojo, as she finally hits that bullseye, and now the pressure is on Sheep Toast. He needs a bullseye to tie. Does he do it? He might be a little bit high there, depending on the angle of the axe. It's very close. He says thumbs up. Our official says thumbs up. And that's good. And now they could go for bulls, or pardon me, for clutches. And I think the decision may have been made there in the clinking of the axes. Clutch has in fact been called. Mojo. Ooh! It will be a little low. You can see she's probably touching green there, but under the new Premier rule set, it's a no. Very good throw, but not good enough. Sheep Toast going for clutch. Now, he doesn't need to go for clutch, does he here, Bill?
No, so both players can agree to do the same thing. Both players don't have to, though. So if Mojo wanted to go clutch, Sheep Toast would rather wait and see what happens. He is more than welcome just to stick with points and stay at a bullseye.
But they made that decision as a team to both go for it.
And
that's some of the camaraderie. And they both missed, so we go to another round. And they've decided again to both go for clutch on this shot. Mojo to go first. Oh, and she's high and wide. Now a clutch option here from Sheep Toast. One thing we may see later in the tournament is players making the decision after seeing what their opponent has done. Oh, and Sheep Toast may have this one. As long as he's hit it at the top, but it looks like it's maybe on a bit of an angle. Our officials are out to have a look at it. Sorry, Jenna, go ahead.
It's hard to see on the actual video there, but he is just to the left side. And so on the right side, we just have to double check if he is breaking that perimeter barrier.
Matt Wilson taking a look with our scoring official, Tiffany.
So they've asked permission to remove the axe to double check if they can see any evidence of that line being on the right side of the blade.
Very good.
And
no good. A shake of the head from our official referee, Matt Wilson. He says no, so we continue on. We are still in round number 3, tied 1-1. Mojo and Sheep Toast, one of them looking to take the lead in the match. Mojo's high and outside again. Sheep Toast, the chance to win round 3, take a 2-1 lead in this best 3 out of 5. Oh, and he's wide in almost the same spot. High and wide.
Now they did agree just to do 3 clutches. They're going back down to bullseyes to kind of dial in again. We might see some more clutches after.
We'll see how they do here. Again, they don't have to reactivate the clutches. They've just decided to go for the regular points, and it's going to be a 3 for Mojo. So a bullseye here from Sheep Toast, and he'll take it. Anything less than bull, we continue on, unless it's a 1. Oh, and it looks like he's in there. It'll be a question of whether the water is sticking out. Thumbs up from both, and Sheep Toast takes a 2-1 lead in the match. That big axe is draining when you miss a few throws, and you got to throw a number of times, but you can see how difficult it is to get those clutches just in that round alone.
And that's a whole other level of competition, going from hatchet to big X, back to hatchet, back to big X, back to hatchet. And so you see them just dialed in, though.
What's the weight difference between the axes? Because that has to be an effect as well, Jen.
Oh, entirely. So the hatchet itself has to be within a 1.25 to 1.75 weight. And your big axe isn't too far off of that. You need a 2.25 or 2.75 axe weight for your big axe. And handle length plays a role in that, so you'll see different people have different style of handle that they prefer. Maybe their big axe is the identical thing to their hatchet, but just the larger version of it.
Right. So after throwing so many big axes, there will be an adjustment for them, but they both seem to have dialed it in here. As we head to the 4th axe, they pulled it right back and hit all their bullseyes, so we're tied at 15. Heading into the 4th axe. 2 axes remaining in this round. Round number 4. 2-1 lead for Sheep Toast, and double bulls again, so we head to the final axe, tied at 20. Sheep Toast and Mojo. Colavecchia, Sheep Toast, and Moira Girard as Mojo head to the final axe of round 4. All tied at 20. Sheep Toast in the lead, 2 rounds to 1. Clutch called and missed by Mojo. Clutch called and it looks like it's hit. Thumbs up for Mojo. And it's good. And that's going to do it. Sheep Toast takes this match 3 games to 1. 3 rounds to 1, pardon me, in this best 3 out of 5. And Sheep Toast, playing back-to-back rounds, back-to-back matches, takes them both, and he stays alive moving on in the tournament.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Dialed in back-to-back.
Stayed warm.
Stayed warm.
Stayed warm.
Definitely.
So as we wait on our next match to get set up here, Mark, how are things down on the floor?
Things are good, pretty down here, actually. That was an interesting match to watch, actually. And the one thing about axes that Jenna mentioned earlier, actually, is the type of axe you throw. You probably saw Matt Colavecchia there throwing a cold steel axe gang, which was an advantageous axe back before the Premier rule set. So it's interesting that he's managing to make that work even when he has such a wide blade. Other than that, we got some interesting matchups happening down here, waiting on your next one. In fact, it looks like we got Matt Colavecchia and our reigning defending world champion, Rander Marquez, interestingly enough, in B. But the thing about Rander Marquez being in B bracket is that when Rander is in B bracket, and I've seen this 100 times, he's a different animal. It's robotic, it's crazy, and we're about to witness that right now.
As you mentioned, our reigning champion, Rander Marquez, is back up and throwing, and we're excited to have him going. Sheep Toast, 3 matches in a row. He's right back at it. No rest for the wicked when you're in B bracket. Surprising, though, to see Rander Marquez here.
Yeah, he's not someone that you expect to see in B bracket. So hopefully going to see some amazing throws today. Some close calls, I'm sure, but exciting nonetheless.
So as we mentioned before, double elimination tournament. There's an A bracket and a B bracket. Jenna read through the A bracket and the B bracket winners from the 256 that have made it to this point down to the final 32. If you lose in the A bracket, you make your way down to the B bracket. You're not done yet unless you lose that second match in your B bracket, which we have seen Sheep Toast here take out 2 opponents. They managed to make it through day one, losing one match. They made it to today, staying alive. But Sheep Toast has wiped them clean. They're gone. Sheep Toast stays alive, but we might lose our defending champion here in this one if Sheep Toast can stay hot.
We'll see. And so we're getting down to that point in the bracket where there is no rest. You are throwing a game, you look at that bracket, where are you throwing your next game? Because odds are you are up and someone's waiting on you. So we're getting to that point, and it's exciting to see them in their rhythm.
Yeah, as we bring up the stats here for these two competitors, Sheep Toast and Rander Marquez, looking at their clutch accuracy, which in Premier rules, this can change, right? But you have clutch accuracy for Rander Marquez at 42.1%, and our clutch accuracy for Matthew Colavecchia, Sheep Toast, at 20%.
So there is discrepancy. There's a pretty big gap between those two. We're looking at 22.1% difference, which today's a different beast. So we're seeing Sheep Toast nail almost all his clutches, or at least his cluster around them is really, really tight. It's really good.
And this is where we talked about earlier, where the scores can be a little bit deceiving. These players are throwing heat. They're minimal millimeters away from being perfect. In the past, that millimeter was perfection. And that's where you're seeing the discrepancy here. But still very, very high scores. Their regular axes are 4.5 each, slightly higher for Rander Marquez. But that just shows and demonstrates the level of skill you need to be at under these Premier rules.
Yeah, and the only reason that it's not a perfect 5 is on that final throw. They're going for clutches, and so we're hoping to see that average come up a little bit from today.
So they're just taking care of a board change here, and then we will continue on with this match, which we expect to see high level of competition, as we've said, and we hope it's not the end for our reigning champion, but again, the level of competition is that much higher this year. Even after 2 years off, everyone was still able to practice, still able to improve their game. They're coming in here with very high skill level. They're ready to go. Under the Neo Premier rule set, they're not a lot of drop-off for them then.
No. And I mean, this is what we're getting down to, though. With B bracket, you're going to see high-level throwers that you don't expect to lose start getting knocked out.
And as we spoke earlier, there's not a whole lot of rest in the B bracket. You keep playing. Because you're in that position, you try to stay in A bracket because it gets you that little bit of rest. But once you're down to that final 32, you're just going. You go until you get knocked out. It can get grueling. You will get a break at some point in the bracket, but not right away, as you see Sheep Toast on his third match in front of us here. As the officials are just screwing in the final board here, we will try to grab Kyle Little if we can, or one of our other guests as we can. But we'll turn to Mark. He's going to go try and find somebody for us here as we have a bit of a break. And then we'll bring them on for a little bit of insight into the tournament and how their experience has been. Now, you were at which venue yesterday, Jenna?
Battle Vaughan.
And how did things go over at Battle Vaughan?
Really well, really well. There was some very close calls on a few things. My phone is filled with photos of very close calls now. So no, it went over really smooth. We saw some big upsets. I had both Kimmy and Sasha from Alberta out there throwing, and they went to full 5 rounds, a lot of big X clutch attempts. It was a fantastic game to watch.
Well, and we have Kyle Little here now with Mark Davis down on the floor. Kyle Little is the general manager of Battle London.
Mark Davis on the floor with Kyle Little. Kyle, how are you feeling after day one of the tournament? We did talk earlier. You're no longer in, but how did your games go yesterday?
Games went really well, felt great, threw really great, but with the new rule set and the great competition that we have here, it's no shame being out. It's great throwing already today, and yesterday was no different.
Now, Battle London, obviously, has one of the toughest leagues in this country, full stop. You had a lot of representation here today, not just yourself, but many others as well.
Yeah, of course. We had 10 throwers here from London, which was very exciting for us, especially with the 41 pool out of battle. Shout out to chain banger Scott Brown, the only one of us that made it today too. So he just got knocked out in beat today. But yeah, we have good representation. We push each other every week of every year, and also have fun doing it.
Now, obviously, the International Axe Throwing Federation and the IATF continuing to grow, this tournament getting bigger and bigger every year. As we adopt new rule sets that challenge even the most skilled throwers like yourself, what are your thoughts on things so far?
So after looking at the top 32 last night and having been a part of these tournaments since 2017, barely recognized any names on the top 32 list, and I think that's just a really true testament of the growth of the sport and the continued growth, because I know that was a big topic at the 2020 IATC, is like, whoa, not a lot of the top names are on that top 32. We're seeing it again this year, and that just shows the growth of the sport, and I'm excited to see it continue that way.
Now, last but not least, before we return to the action with Tom and Jenna, being out of the tournament tends to motivate you. How are you feeling, and what are you going to do to prepare for next year?
Take a break, because it's a grind the last 2 months before this. Take a little break, a little refresh, and then back at it, throw in our standard leagues, travel to some tournaments, test new axes out, always tweaking your throw, and go from there.
Well, you know what? Kyle Little won Ontario Regionals this year, as well as Battle Royale earlier this year. I think you've won enough things, buddy. I think you're good for now. Mark Davis on the floor with Kyle Little. I'll send it back up to Tom and Jenna.
Thanks, Mark, and thank you, Kyle, for joining us there this afternoon. Always great to see Kyle at the venue, and he was competing yesterday. He threw some great matches, but didn't face some tough competition.
Some heavy heat coming out of there.
So as we rejoin the match here between Sheep Toast and Rander Marquez, also known as Kuya, we pick it up here with Sheep Toast leading 1-0. And we're in Big Axe, tied at 27. That means they've thrown super perfect in round number 2. Rander leading us off into Big Axe overtime. And he starts us with a bullseye right down the middle. Maybe slightly to the right, but no doubt in the Premier or other that was 5. Sheep Toast needing to match to keep this game alive. Ooh, and it looks like he does, and certainly he does. No touching at the bottom. And clutches are called here. They both agreed to go for clutch here in round 2 of Big Axe. And he's just outside. Old clutch, that's good. Premier rules, not today. So a chance to win it for Sheep Toast and take a 2-0 lead here in the match. Oh, but he's wide. Clutch is called again. They're still live. Rander leading us on. He's low and outside this time. So yet again, with a chance to take a 2-0 lead here. And he's low and away from Sheep Toast. And they've agreed to go one more time. Clutch is called. They're high and away that time. So another chance here for Sheep Toast to take a 2-0 lead in this best 3 out of 5. And he's done it, I believe. It looks good. He's giving thumbs up, and you can see it on the screen there, split right through that white box. What a throw. And that puts huge pressure on Kuya, Rander Marquez. as Sheepcoast has just taken a 2-0 lead in this best 3 out of 5. Bullseye there from Rander. And a bullseye from Sheeptoast. They both tuck it in.
Yeah, hugging that top paint line.
We hope it's not, but it could be. We could have a new champion this year. Double bull. Well, we hope it's not yet. If it happens, we're happy for Sheeptoast. Not to confuse things here, but it would be quite the upset for Matthew Colavecchia. Sheeptoast looking to put it away here. Sorry, Jen.
There was a lot of those upsets yesterday when we see some big names already out, not making it to day 2, or coming in B bracket.
And double bulls there sends us to our 5th and final acts, all tied at 20. Clutches have been called by both players.
Now, Sheeptoast here is a good example of having a different axe for clutches. So, might be a slightly different blade, might be a slightly different handle, whatever he's comfortable with.
Just changing that axe for balancing purposes maybe as much as anything.
Now, there is a blade.
Looks like Rander was good.
No, neither of them.
No, both missed. The official call is both missed, so we head to overtime. Big axe overtime with a chance for Sheeptoast to move on in this tournament and eliminate our defending champion, Kuya Rander Marquez.
We're in a different room. Can't hear us.
There's a small interaction there with Sheeptoast. Oh, and he's high and outside for the 3. Hopefully we haven't added any extra pressure there for him as he was able to hear us, as we are right above the lanes here on Orange. When they're throwing big axe, they're right in our kitchen. And that's a bullseye from Rander, so he stays alive. Pulling it back to 2-1 in this best 3 out of 5.
It is a good point to bring up, though. We do stop talking because they are right in front of us. We are few feet away from them, so we give them a little bit of quiet just to line up again. Hatchet, they're a little farther away. We talk a little.
Double bullseyes there. It looks like, a little close there for Rander. This might be his first 3 of the match. What did they say? It is a 3 for Rander Marquez. And Sheeptoast up by 2 points. Heading into the 4th act. Double bulls there. But we're into the 4th act with a 10-8 lead here. Pardon me. I'm an axe ahead of myself.
Now we're in the 4th.
Now we're in the 4th act, and now we still have a 2-point lead for Sheeptoast. Up 15-13 with 2 axes remaining in this round. Double bulls. So we head to the 5th and final axe with Sheeptoast leading 2 rounds to 1. And he hits it right down the middle, bullseye. So a clutch needed to send us to big axe here and stay alive. Does he get it? He does not. And that does it. Sheeptoast, the Giant Slayer.
Crazy.
We have a second one. Give me the Giant Slayer. Now Sheeptoast, the Giant Slayer, has knocked off Kuya Rander Marquez, our defending champion, out of the tournament. Sheeptoast, 3 games in a row. He's moving on. He stays alive in the B bracket. With all kinds of pressure, he kept his cool, and he's moving on. What a tough break. Mark Davis, thoughts on that one?
Tom, I'm in shock right now. We are now guaranteed a new international axe throwing champion. I have no words as to what to say. Obviously, I was talking to both competitors as the match went on, as were you, and Sheep Toast is right here, actually. I can talk to him if you want.
He's joining us. That's perfect.
How are you feeling? You just knocked out the reigning defending champion.
I'm feeling unbelievable. Brander and I have become real rivals over the last since the last ITC, and we faced each other at N64, at N32, a couple of other tournaments, and I've taken him. I've given him his only loss of the day sometimes when we faced each other in the final, and to finally take him when it matters is unbelievable.
Now you had a gauntlet there. You threw 3 matches in a row. Do you feel like playing back-to-back matchups helps get you in a rhythm? Were you feeling tired at all?
I think for me, I throw best when I'm really warmed up, and I'm really warmed up right now. And if I can just settle the big axe down and get it a little bit more consistent, you know, I heard that on the 4th game there through that first turn 3, and I did not deserve a second shot. So I'm really glad he hit that bullseye because I did not deserve that.
Matt Colavecchia, great game today. We are guaranteed a new international axe throwing champion. It could be you. It could be any of the competitors left. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, man.
Tom, Jenna, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Mark. What a performance by Sheep Toast. We just got to witness 3 of his matches in a row, as we said, and we just got to witness, as Mark and we have mentioned, the end of Brander Marquez at the hands of Sheep Toast.
Now, we've had champions in the past who've taken 1 year, new champion the next year. We've had a champion take 4 in a row. And Brander only won 1. And so I know some people wanted to see that second title come his way, but it's exciting that we get a brand new champion this year. We don't have any former champions competing today. So a new name's going on that cup.
Well, a great performance from Brander Marquez, our defending champion. We expect to see him back again next year and competing and with a little bit more vinegar in his veins, trying to get back and defend his once title.
There will be a fire with that guy.
And we will be interested to see how Matthew Colavecchia, Sheep Toast, proceeds through this tournament. As we have a look here at the screen at Matthew Colavecchia's stats there. His performance today has been very strong, and we've got to witness 3 of the matches. Just how the bracket works out, we end up in our perch here. But you can look at his stats through that match. He's only thrown 3 threes, 72 bullseyes. His call rate, 80%. That's just his call rate. That's not what he's hit, but still impressive. He got the 2 that he needed and that he needed most. He put the pressure on Brander Marquez. He forced Brander into a situation where he had to hit a clutch. And it didn't happen for him today.
No.
And Sheep Toast is moving on. So as we prepare here for another match, you may be watching and wondering what these lines are down on the floor here. Jenna, can you take us through just how and the purpose of these lines that we see down on the floor?
Of course. So there's a yellow line, which arbitrarily means nothing. Most businesses have their liquor license that ends there, and so it's perimeter line. We only allow throwers and a scorekeeper beyond that point. Everyone else spectating has to stay beyond that. We've got a blue line here. It's our big X line, and so people, throwers start in and around that. Everyone has their own distance that they've mapped out, but they base it off of that blue line. Now, regulation throwing, same rules for big X as it is for hatchet. You need to start with 1 full foot behind the line. You're not allowed to start with 1 foot in front of it, the other foot on it. That foot needs to anchor players, and they're only allowed to take 1 step as well. So you see a lot of people start in different stances, start in a stance, stand still to throw. See more of that for big X than we do for hatchet. The black line there is our hatchet starting point. Also with the rule, you need to start with 1 full foot behind the line. And our red line is our fault line. No players are allowed to touch that paint if they're throwing hatchet. They need to come to a full, complete stop behind the line. For big X, the black line transitions into that fault line. They're not allowed to touch it. Same rule. They need to come to a full, complete stop.
And those were put in place as part of the safety measures and everything that we've seen as the progression of the sport has developed. Same as the rule sets from standard to premier. You put the lines in place for the safety of the players and to make sure that, well, no one's getting hurt, because we are throwing sharp objects. But at the same time, too, the safety of this sport is top-notch. You have our such skilled throwers, and they don't miss often. But in the event that they do, we don't want them going too close to the target and having something happen. So those have been put in place, and they've been a great addition to the sport. And add a little extra drama in case somebody accidentally crosses that line or something, which we, at this level, we don't see,
No.
if at all. Like, I think yesterday I was scoring some matches at Battle Stockyards, and we had one big axe that the competitor accidentally stepped on the line.
Yeah.
And that happens. But it's not very often at this high level that those need to come into play, but they occasionally do. But that's what they are. So you got the red line, the black line, and the blue line. Now you know what they are. Thanks, Jenna, for sharing that with us. So as we wait here, we do have a little bit of a break here on our lanes. So we're going to run through our sponsors if we could. And just, once again, we want to thank them for their support in helping us put on this event. It's 2022 International Axe Throwing Championships, brought to you by Elmwood City. Sorry, as I bring up my list here. Elm City Cottonwood, Woodhouse Brewery, Beyond the Pale Clean Cut Lager, White Claw Hard Seltzer, Liquid Death Water, and Sandbagger Gin-Based Hard Seltzer. And without them here today, this tournament doesn't happen. We're not back after a couple years off. So thank you to our sponsors for making today possible. So,
keeping our competitors hydrated too. I know got our tent set up out back here in Pickering, so it's exciting to see that. See them walking around, hydrating, Liquid Death especially. So gonna see some cans popping up here and there.
So the tournament today, as we mentioned, is the final 32 competitors from the 256 that we started with. The best 256 players in the world. We're down to the final 32, and we're moving our way through that bracket here today. As we continue through the tournament, we will get down to the semifinals and finals, which will be taking place in front of us. The tournament started 3 out of 5. You must win, as we mentioned, 3 rounds of 5 rounds to be able to move on in the tournament and win that match. As we get down to the semifinals and finals, it gets that much harder. We go to best 4 out of 7 to win. It can be grueling. You're throwing 5 axes around, especially if, as you've seen with our good friend Sheep Ghost, who we've watched a few matches of here today. You're throwing a lot of axes in a short period of time, and then it gets even harder as you get down to that final rounds, and you're throwing best 4 out of 7, trying to win, trying to get your way through, but you've now thrown a ton of axes. If we continue to see Sheep Ghost progress through, or whoever comes out of that B bracket, they'll be facing somebody from the A bracket that hasn't lost yet, Jenna.
Yeah, so when it comes to that, they need to take 2 best 4 out of 7 series. So it's that idea that you got to fight your way back in an A bracket, and then now you're tied, win another set.
So potentially a best of a 14 at that point.
It could be.
That takes some time. That takes a toll on the arm, especially if they're going back and forth between big axe and standard axe. They're going to get a lot of throws in. We're going to see a lot of action.
You see a lot of
in the past.
You see a lot of throwers too that maybe their first hatchet throw up the back, they take a moment to reset. They feel that weight again, kind of reset into that. Okay, I'm throwing a hatchet. Don't throw it so hard. You see some players as well have a different stance, and for those people, it's just a nice light toss. What's been coined the Canadian flick by some as well, where you see that low elbow, more of a dart throw, if anything else, instead of that. You're not trying to chop the board. We're not trying to break the target in half. We're not firing. It's not firewood here.
So we're just getting ready for our next match here. So we're going to take a look at our 2 competitors. We have Matthew Kramer and a competitor we mentioned just moments ago, Kimmy Soupnet, will be coming up next in front of us. But they'll be playing in a little bit, but we'll take as Kimmy is currently playing on the far side. So we may need to switch this here in a second, because that's not our next
We
match.
have our buddy Sheep Toast throwing currently against
We do have Sheep Ghost right back at it. He is on the far lanes. We don't quite have a camera on that one. We'll be waiting to get back in the action there. But Mark, how's that match going on the far side so far?
Well, obviously, Sheep Toast is continuing his gauntlet of constant back-to-back games, which is a symptom of being in B bracket. There's also Kim Supnet out of Battle Vaughan, the GM of Battle Vaughan, and awkwardly enough, I never thought I'd say this on TV, my boss. However, she is grown so much over the past season, switching her axe, getting out of the axe gang that is as popular with other throwers, switching to a Council Tools Flying Fox, which has changed her throw dramatically. She's giving a lot of people trouble today, and we're going to see if she continues to give people trouble with this game of Sheep Toast happening right now.
And Jenna, Kimmy was our highest finishing female competitor in the 2020 tournament.
There it is.
And she's still moving through today. So we hope that we get to see her at some point in front of us here, and we get to watch that match a little bit.
Now, Kimmy came in today in A bracket. So she's already played at least one game and has been knocked to B and is hanging out with our buddy Sheep Toast.
Sheep Toast living on these orange lanes this afternoon. But that's what it's all about. We're having lots of fun here today. We've got a lot of activities and stuff happening this weekend. We've had a number of other tournaments taking place as well. This weekend we had the under 65 tournament for anyone with an average less than 65 was able to compete in that. Maybe they weren't able to make it into this tournament because the averages in round one were fairly high.
Yeah.
It's a high standard that you have to hit in order to be able to qualify for this tournament even. So we had the tournament, the under 65 took place, and that allowed some of those competitors to play. And then for competitors that did throw in round one and still didn't make it into round two because of the high competition level, they can play in the Close But No Cigar tournament as well. And we started the weekend actually on Thursday with a doubles tournament that took place. We had our first doubles tournament that was full format. Full format, they played 3 rounds. Normally a doubles tournament takes place in skills. You're just best of 5 throws with you and your opponent and your partner set. But this weekend we ran a tournament of doubles that was the full, same as you're seeing, best 3 out of 5 tournament of doubles tournament. So that was a lot of fun to get us going. We've got the finals of the IATC taking place here today here at Battle Pickering, which will be ended by our awards ceremony and a big party outside called Homecoming. And we called it such because it was a coming together. We're coming back after 2 long years of no axe throwing. So we do have footage here now of Kimmy Soupnet, the Giant Slayer, against Sheep Toast, Matho Colavecchia. We are currently in this match just in round 1. They are in big axe overtime here. No bullseyes have been hit yet. They've hit 3 rounds of 3, so the clutches aren't active yet, but just the bullseyes. And the rest of the board, of course. Kimmy Soupnet throwing now. Ooh, she's a little bit high there, it looks like. And that'll be a 3. So Sheep Toast, an opportunity here with a bullseye to take the early 1-0 lead in this 3 out of 5. Oh, but he's just high. Just above that black line, creeping into the 3, so that'll be 3 points. As he gives his axe a bit of a pep talk there, hoping to get it reeled back in. So Kimmy, looking for a bullseye to put the pressure on Sheep Toast. And Kimmy, just a little bit low as we look at our screen here, just outside the bottom line there, and that'll be 3 points. So again, an opportunity for the 1-0 lead here for Sheep Toast. Little bit high, only just. Under the standard rules, that's a good bullseye, Jenna, but not today. He's a little high and outside, so Kimmy stays alive in this round. And there she is, nice and clean down the middle. 5 points for Kimmy, the Giant Slayer Soupnet. Bullseye or bust here for Matho Colavecchia. And he looks like he's got it. Right inside the line. And he stays in this round. they have a hug. The pressure was on Sheeptoes there, but he steps up and hits that one. So Kimmy yet again setting the standard. It looks like they will be going for clutch. Ooh, and she's wide of that left side clutch on the board here. So Sheeptoes, who also agreed, as we mentioned, he's agreed to go for clutch. He's going to go for clutch. That's part of the sportsmanship that we see in this sport. Camaraderie. Oh, little high there from Sheeptoes, so Kimmy stays in it. Again, we are in round one, best 3 out of 5. All tied here in overtime. Throwing big axe between Kimmy, the Giant Slayer Supnet, and Matthew Sheeptoes Colavecchia. And Kimmy's wide of that right side clutch and a little bit high as well.
That's not something we see too often. You usually get players that want to stick on one side for clutch, and going back and forth the way she did is just a little unlikely.
And Matthew Colavecchia is wide as well. Sheeptoes a little wide, but that's a good point, Jenna. And I mean, I wonder if maybe it's just that added pressure of trying to tuck it in that white box that you see inside the clutch. If that's adding a little bit, as I said, pressure, and they're maybe just putting a little bit extra on that throw, causing them to miss it, wide or high. But we'll see if Kimmy can dial it back in here. Called again here. Oh, what do we have here? Looks like he's wide. And sure enough, he is. He says no, so we keep going, and they've agreed to go back to the standard board. Back to the 5, 3, or 1. We don't expect to see any ones here, but
you never know.
It is possible. Kimmy to throw first. Mark Davis, how are things down there on the floor?
Pretty intense. Kim is surrounded by her fellow league members at Battle Vaughan. I also wanted to point out, both of these throwers are in the same league together, ironically on Sundays, and that is what today is, so I guess this is just another Sunday for them.
Just another league night for these two, another match between them, and that round, as you see, Sheeptoes throws a 3 on that one, so Kimmy takes round 1 and a 1-0 lead here in the match.
That's only round 1.
That's only round 1 indeed. This could be a long match, and we expect it to be, especially with the performance we've seen from Sheeptoes already, performing in his 4th match in front of us. And a bullseye there from Kimmy. And a bullseye there from both. Yet again, 3rd axe, we are tied at 10 here in round number 2. This best of 5. Double bulls again. 2 axes remaining in this round, tied at 15. Between Giant Slayer and Sheeptoes. Looks like double bulls again. We're getting the thumbs up, and that's that respect factor there. You have a look with your opponent, you make sure that everybody's good with it. They both say yes, axes come out, we move on to the next throw. In this case, that's the 5th and final throw, and we are all tied. Clutches have been called. Oh, and away from Kimmy, and it looks like it's no good from Sheeptoes. So we go back to Big Axe to decide round 2. Oh no, I stand corrected. Sheeptoes took that one. So we go to round 3, all tied at 1. My mistake, I thought he was wide to the right, but it looks like he's hit it. So we go to round 3, tied at 1. First throws were tied at 5. Second axe. Sheeptoes is good. Kimmy's got the thumbs up. We stay even, 10-10. Our scorekeeper in this match at the moment is Big Nate Payne. He's got the eyes on this one. He hasn't been had to be called out yet. And a 3 there from Kimmy gives Sheep Toast the 2-point lead, 15-13 into the 4th throw of round number 3. Oh, what do we have here from Kimmy? It looks like she's maybe drifted a bit low. And sure enough, she has, and that puts a stranglehold on this one. 4-point lead here. A bullseye or better puts it away for Matthew Colavecchia, known as Sheep Toast. And he does. And that gives Sheep Toast a 2-1 lead. Now you see, we're not throwing that final throw for Kimmy. Why is that, Jenna?
So the game's determined because she's, in this case, down by 9 points. Clutch is only worth 7, so no time wasted.
Just move on, and move on we do. Back into the bullseyes as Kimmy has dialed it back in here. Staying even here in round number 4. 2-1 lead for Sheep Toast. Double bulls. We stay tied into axe number 3 of round number 4. Double bulls again. Tied at 15. Axe number 4. And we go to the 5th and final act, all tied again. Clutches have been called by both players. Kimmy's high. Matt Colavecchia. Sheep goes. The arms are in the air. The points are good. That's a clutch. And Matthew Colavecchia, Sheep Toast, is moving on again. Knocking off another top-end competitor, his league mate, Kimmy the Giant Slayer Supnet. What a performance there from Sheep Toast. Takes it 3-1, but that match was a lot closer than what we saw, Jay.
Oh, a lot. They both threw amazingly, and that's what this game comes down to now. You need to be so dialed in. You can hit a clutch. That's the easy part. Can you hit a premier clutch?
And a little bit of fatigue perhaps set in there as that match went along for Kimmy. A lot of throwing here. She, same as Sheep Toast, she would have been playing these 4 matches back to back to back as well as she's moving her way through the B bracket. We're going to go down to Mark Davis. He's got Kimmy Supnet right now.
Kim Supnet, my friend, my boss, it's awesome to be up here with you. You had a hell of a game. Sheep Toast is on fire today. Obviously, you know, you had some misses, but you had some hits. A couple of threes that kind of brought you down. But you're in B bracket now, so what's your plan to recover from that?
I'm pretty sure I'm out.
You're out? Was she in B bracket? Oh, she was. My apologies. My apologies. Okay, I'm official. I'm fired now. Anyway, Kim, you had a hell of a run though. You started out on fire yesterday. You ran through this venue today. What do you think of Sheep so far? He's been on a run through B as well.
Well, I think I hope he wins because he knocked me down, obviously. Or out. And Rander actually. So I hope he actually takes it and goes all the way. I don't know. We've never thrown together before, so.
I actually pointed out that you're both Battle Vaughn throwers. So this was just a.
Together, so.
Yeah, I know. Like, well, Sundays aside and Battle Royales aside, but obviously, when you get knocked out of these tournaments, it tends to light a fire under you. What's your game plan preparing for future tournaments and maybe even next year?
Well, first off, don't throw like shit. And, oh, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have swore. But, I don't know, just practice is all it is. I haven't been practicing that much. Just recently, I did. I'm the GM at Bond, so it's hard to get this practice in.
Well, you know what? You did a fantastic job today. You had a lot of friends out here to support you. I have to be unbiased. I could go either way, but honestly, you did great today. You're going to do great in future tournaments. We look forward to seeing you grow, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Don't worry, we'll keep you around. It's all good. And thank you, Kimmy, the Giant Slayer Soupnet, for joining us. Jenna, thoughts on that one?
Mark's just covering his bases. Kimmy's his boss. I get it. Why would you think that your boss is in B bracket? You're playing it safe. It's all good.
All right, so as we get ready for our next match here, we're going to bring up the stats here for this one. And we've got David Saikon and Mike Kump.
Ooh, this is a big one.
This is a big one indeed. Two good friends out of Urban Axes.
Two best friends even.
Two best friends even.
I would assume I've known them to be best friends with each other.
We have our Canada-US Skills Tournament this weekend as well, which also took place on Friday evening.
Just the qualifier.
Just the qualifier, yes. We will see the final coming up later today. Mark Davis will be taking over my position to call that one. But that tournament's put on and organized by these two competitors. As we take a look, this is going to be a close one. David Saikon, a 4.7 average per throw, and a 4.579. And these are their premier stats. So this is very dialed in. At a 4.7 in premier, he's not missing much, Mr. Saikon. And as we look as well, even their clutch percentage is a little higher, a little in favor of Mike Kump there at 33.3%, but 25% still a very good number there for David Saikon.
Now, clutch hit as well is just the clutches that they've called. Those are the ones they've hit. If they've thrown the game out of reach, if they're up by 4 points or anything, they don't have to go clutch on that final throw. They can choose to stay down. And so if they've got a number of clutches available to them that they could call, they might choose not to.
That's a very good point. And these stats are their stats through the tournament so far. So we've got two very good competitors through today even, I think, is actually what we're bringing up. And as we prepare for this match, we're going to see a good one here. And it'll be nice to see somebody else other than Sheep Toast on our lanes. We had fun calling Sheep Toast matches, but it'll be good to get some fresh players in here.
You think that he's paying us to say his name that many times?
Yes. He is not. We assure you he is not. As we head down to Mark Davis before we start this one, he's got a couple of our Australian friends down there.
Yeah, I'm joined by Maniac throwers Troy Evans and Rick Priest. Rick, actually, I had the pleasure of throwing in doubles against on Thursday. I won't even fly to Alberta for a tournament. How long was your flight over here, and how much do you love axe throwing that you were willing to put up with that flight? Troy, I'll start with you.
So I took straight from Sydney to Vancouver, which is about 18 hours. Had a layover where I had to sprint through Vancouver because my flight was delayed. Just made it onto the plane, and then it was about 3.5, 4 hours in the air to get here down to Toronto.
And Troy, how about yourself? Obviously, axe throwing growing in Australia, it becomes more and more international every single time. What do you want to say about the IATF's arrival in Australia and how it's going so far?
Oh, it's going really well so far. Everybody's getting really on board with it. Everyone's loving the vibe, and IATF in Australia, everybody's really enjoying the competitive side of things, and everything's working really, really well so far.
Now, we've obviously had a lot of representation from different countries, the UK, Australia, obviously, Canada, and the United States. How many throwers were representing in various tournaments from where you guys are around in this past week?
So we started with a pool of, it was around 200 and, how many was from Australia? Around 200 from around, then was round one, and then we ended up with 14 who came over here to Canada.
Awesome. Now, obviously, as this grows larger and the tournaments grow bigger, are you guys going to be here next year? What do you think of the growth of the sport so far?
Mate, you can't stop us from coming back.
My last question, I know he's not on camera right now, but I got to say, you are definitely the most well-dressed person in here. Tell me about the suit.
Well, one of the biggest things was Axe Prom, and obviously, unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, we couldn't do an Axe Prom this year. Axe Homecoming came around. Everyone said, oh, what's the dress code? And they said, oh, semi-casual. I said, no.
Well, hey, obviously, you guys are here enjoying yourselves. Thank you for coming out. We hope to see you next year, and we hope to see, hey, who knows? We might even see our first international winner. It could be from Australia. That's Rick Priest and Troy Evans. Thank you so much for joining me today, boys.
Thanks, boys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Troy. And Rick, My apologies. I was blanking. I was lost in his suit there. He's dressed very well today, and there's a few suits running around as the Australian crew is representing very well today.
Well dressed.
So thank you to them for joining us as we rejoin the match here. You guys have seen some of the throws going on while that interview was happening. David Saikon takes the 1-0 lead. In this best 3 out of 5, we are currently in round number 2. Mike Kump is on the left side of your screen, and mid-class action lawsuit, also known as David Saikon, is on the right side. Clutches have been called on this 5th and final act of round number 2. Saikon looks like he's wide. And a good clutch from Kump. And that is going to tie us up here 1-1 as we head to round number 3. Between David Saikon and Mike Kump. Double bulls. It's good. Double bulls there. Round number 3, tied at 1. Excellent. And double bulls again there. We're all tied at 10, axe number 3. Third axe goes down as a tie. And just as we expected, Jenna, these two players staying arm in arm, as good friends do. They will head to the final axe, all tied up. And clutches have been called. Saikon looks like he's good. He may be a bit low at the top of it there. Might be sticking out. And that's low for Mike Kump. He's looking for a measurement. There's no measurements today, are there, Jenna?
No, we don't need calipers for much today.
You hit it or you don't. And Saigon's has ruled a good clutch, and he takes the 2-1 lead. David Saikon and Mike Kump. Round number 3, 2-1 lead and a chance to move on for David Saikon. The mid-class action lawsuit. That's just his nickname.
It's a heck of a nickname.
And in this sport, you will see some interesting ones, that's for sure, as we do encourage nicknames. And we'll maybe get the story from Mr. Saikon as this match comes to a close. But for now, we look at round number 4, axe number 3, all tied at 10. Oh, and it looks like a little low there from Saikon. Whether that bottom of the axe is in or out. Jenna, what happens in this case here? Axe is on a bit of an angle.
You've got your scorekeeper coming in first. We've got Matt Wilson as our ref coming in second there. This is the best part about using your phone for this, using a camera, a flashlight, for things that are so close where you can barely see that paint line, especially with an axe in the way. You need that extra verification.
That ability to zoom in and have a look, because the axe on the angle there, that bottom isn't necessarily in the wood. It might be high enough that it's in there, but sure enough, the call is a 3. And Mike Kump takes a 2-point lead here in round 4 as he looks to even the match at 2. Bullseye from David Saikon. Ooh, but Mike Kump gives that 3 right back, it looks like. Oh, he's giving the thumbs up. Oh, and they call it good. Mike Kump keeps his 2-point lead. As you saw there, the two competitors looked at it and said that it's good, so they move on. Clutch called by David Saikon. I can't tell if he's got it. He did. It looks like he splits both, and a bullseye there from Mike Kump.
Now, in traditional axe throwing, it's another one of those things where, in the same way they go back and forth, if they go to multiple big axe rounds, we're seeing them throw at the same time on that final shot. Normally, whoever's in the lead is going to go first, give the other person that advantage, take a break, see what they end up hitting. Both of them pretty confident in what they're going to hit.
Well, and they had made that agreement. They both knew what they were going to throw, so they just went for it. Mike Kump went for his bullseye. He got it. The pressure was on David Saikon. He was going to need to hit a 7. He expected his friend to hit the 5. Mike Kump lived up to it, hit his 5. David Saikon just went at the same time, threw his clutch. He got it. We're off to Big Ice. Mike Kump to throw first. And Mike Kump has tucked it in there, and he calls it a 3 himself with a little bit of flair on that one, as we've come to expect from our good friend Mike Kump. And David Saikon, our other good friend, steps up. Oh, and he's a little bit low, so that keeps Mike Kump alive. As that was his opportunity to end it there. With a 2-1 lead, that could have been the match. Mike Kump stays in it. And a chance to set the point. Oh, and he's low and outside.
A premier 3.
A premier 3 indeed. That was a good clean 3, no doubt about that. But unfortunately a 3. David Saikon throws it down the middle. And that'll be 5 points from my vantage point. Thumbs up. And that does it. Indeed it is. A good bullseye. And in round number 4, overtime, David Saikon takes it. He takes the match 3 rounds to 1. And he's moving on. As we head down to Mark Davis to speak with our competitors.
Dave Saikon, obviously, you know this man very well. He's a fellow league member, one of your best friends. How does it feel to throw against him at this level for, I don't know how many times it's been?
I don't appreciate the F word. Thank you very much. But Kump's a great competitor. We've had some legendary matches. It's a lot of fun throwing against him, and I know it's going to be a battle. So just one match at a time, one throw at a time. The first round was a little tough because he's up 1, and normally I would say, like, let's go clutches, but I expect him to hit it, so, like, I want to at least give myself a chance to go for the win. Then manage to kind of just hold on and battle back.
Now, obviously, this tournament being separated over 2 days, and you know that as a thrower, you can feel different one day and then different the next. How are you feeling today versus how you were feeling yesterday? Does something feel different, or are you still in the groove even going into day 2?
It's the same. A little bit nerves, or a little bit higher. Yesterday I was throwing a lot less threes, and today I sprayed it, but that's just kind of standard nerves. And you got to know when you throw a 3, have confidence in the clutch. But I'm an experienced enough thrower. I've thrown in enough day 2 tournaments that it's the same thing. It's just getting your mind right and approaching day 2 the exact same way as day 1. So.
Dave Saikon, I wish you the best of luck as you continue through this tournament. Tom, Jenna, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you, David, for joining us, and congratulations on the win. That was quite the match between, I know he doesn't like the word friend.
Doesn't like the F word.
We know they are. We know they are. A good bit of joking there. As a good couple of friends, but David Saikon has knocked off Mike Kump. As we move on to our next match here, we will look at our stats of our 2 competitors. We've got our good friend.
Sheep Toast is back.
Mr. Sheep Toast himself is back in front of us on the screen. And David Saikon, no rest for him. We are in the B bracket now. Still in the B bracket.
We're hanging out in B bracket.
They're hanging out. And they're right back at it for another match. As we look at the stats there, this one's going to be another close one again. Saikon keeping his 4.7 average here, a 5.6 my apologies, a 4.5 for Mr. Sheep Toast, and their clutch accuracy, you can see there, is quite high today. So as we look back to the match here, between mid-class action lawsuit, David Saikon and Matthew Colavecchia, also known as Sheep Toast.
I think we need answers from both of them about their nicknames after this.
We might need to get it, figure out where they all came from, because Sheep Toast is unique in itself, let alone Mr. Class Action Lawsuit. So as we look here in round 1, 5th and final acts, we are all tied at 5. all tied at 5s hit. But they've hit 4 of them. They have 20 points each. 5th and final acts. They're going for clutches. Ooh, and Saikon might be a bit wide there. But he also might have clipped that edge. Sheep Coast looks like he's in. And it looks like as we zoom in here, they are both in there. Saikon, I'm pretty sure for sure. That was a lot of sure's there I used. My apologies.
You're very sure of it.
But I am very sure. That one is in. The one in question here is Sheep Coast. Whether he has hugged that line on the outside, as we've mentioned before, you got to keep it inside that little white box. The black line on the outside counts. It was part of the drawing. And to make sure it was definite of where that line is. And again, Matt Wilson has asked permission to remove the axe to make sure that it is or is not on the line. And that paint has been broken. And it's no good. The head nod goes side to side rather than up and down. And David Saikon takes round 1 from Sheep Coast. David Saikon went super perfect that time, Jenna. What is the difference between perfect and super perfect?
So perfect game is just 5 bullseyes, which seems easy enough for our competitors today. A super perfect is when you add a clutch to the mix. And a good clutch. Now I guess it's a super perfect premier game.
Even more perfect. Perfect. And there we go again, back into the bullseyes from both. David Saikon had a 3 on his first throw. So we head to the third axe with the 10-8 lead for Sheep Coast as he looks to pull even here in this best of 5 match against David Saikon. Fourth axe now, 15-13, Sheep Coast in the lead by 2. Double bulls again. But still that 2-point lead into the final axe. A standard bullseye has been pointed by Sheep Coast, so Saikon is gonna go clutch. And a bullseye hit. And we'll have a look at the clutch here. It looks like it might be a little bit wide and outside here. Saikon is in the way of that camera, so we can't have a look. But a thumbs up from our referee, Matt Wilson. And we head to Big Axe to decide round 2, and another situation there where David Saikon expects Sheep Coast to hit that bullseye, so he's just gonna go for clutch.
Confident.
Just gonna go for it. If he gets it, that's fine. He's already down 2. If he gets it, we go to Big Axe. Maybe Sheep Coast hits a 3. Maybe Saikon misses that clutch. Sheep Coast would take that round, but they're both confident in their throws. They throw at the same time, and they hit the values that they needed. So we head to Big Axe. Sheep Coast leading us off here in round 2, Big Axe. And he's high with a 3. David Saikon. Bullseye here evens the match. And by that I mean gives him a 2-0 lead, not even. And he does it right down the middle. I don't think he could have been more perfect with that one. And that gives David Saikon a 2-0 lead here over Matthew Colavecchia in this best 3 out of 5. And they both dial in their hatchets back into the bullseyes here. Into axe number 2 of round number 3. David Saikon looking to put this one away if he can. Sheep Coast looking for some life and just looking to get one. You just got to take it one at a time at this point, don't you, Jenna?
That's it. It's like baby steps. 1 foot in front of the other. One axe at a time.
The first 2 rounds are behind us. We're on to round 3. Axe number 5. I apologize, axe number 4. I'm ahead of myself now. The players can't be, but I am. And we're tied now into the 5th and final axe. We are tied at 20. Clutches have been called by both players. And you hear the big always from David Saikon. He's not shy from going for that clutch. Neither is Sheep Coast. Saikon looks like he's good. And no from Sheep Coast. And good from David Saikon. Matt Wilson, the referee, going to come in to make it official, and the thumbs up David Saikon with the sweep. He's moving on. And that spells an end to our friend Sheep Toast.
Buddy Sheep Toast.
Matthew Colavecchia, what a match. As we go down to the floor, he's had a great day. We head down to Mark Davis, who's got Sheep Toast with him now.
Thank you, Tom. I'm joined by Matt Colavecchia, a.k.a. Sheep Toast. Game after game, run after run. You had to put in your work today. Obviously, a tough loss, but what are your thoughts on your performance yesterday and today?
I couldn't be happier to be a part of this whole family. Like this is this is my church. These are our parishioners, and you know, we're happy to be up here and putting on a show for everybody. It's this is the best. And my performance, hey, I'm here. I made it this far. How can I be disappointed with that? So.
The one thing that myself and my colleagues in the broadcast booth have been taking note of all day is your constant joking, jovial, positive attitude even when you're down. But then you put on that serious face when you're taking a shot. What is your approach as far as your attitude to axe throwing when you're mid-game, whether you're winning or whether you're losing?
You know, big game, league game, practice. This to me is all about fun. It's all about having the fun, and I love to joke around, but I love also bringing that focus down and you know basically changing personalities. You know, the Jekyll and Hyde thing. You know, when it's time for throwing, I am all business, and you got to throw better to beat me. And Saikon, he threw better to beat me.
Well, you know, your attitude, your positivity, it's been infectious all day. Great performance. You got nothing to be disappointed about. My last question is, you're in the money now. What are you spending it on?
Probably some gas. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Have you noticed the price of gas lately? It seems, yeah, you know, it's. I have my sponsors to thank for helping me here as well, and I'm going to be rolling it back into the sport. I'm going to be doing some axe tourism. I want to go visit other clubs that are, you know, hopefully within driving distance. And when it gets longer than driving distance, hey, you know, let's fly to a few. Let's bring a bunch with us and have some fun.
If you want to show some love to your sponsors, just there we go. These are the people that helped bring them here. Awesome jersey, by the way. Matt Colavecchia, thank you so much. Enjoy your quarter of a tank of gas you can afford now. Tom, Jenna, I'll send it back upstairs to you.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Mr. Colavecchia. Sheep Toast, well done there today. What a great smile he's got, a great attitude. He's out, but he's still a good guy.
Oh, I don't think that changes it, but
that
yeah.
wasn't going to be an issue, not at all.
Never an issue.
We didn't get the answer to the question, though.
We did
Where
not,
does
I know.
Sheep Toast come from?
We
We'll
still
have to
need
grab
it.
him at some other point, but
We'll
great
bring him
job
into the
by
booth.
him today, and he is right. The gas prices are outrageous right now.
It's a lot.
We do appreciate everybody coming here today to enjoy the show and the festivities. You can see some of them on camera here now, but this place is full and getting even more as the crowd is kind of dispersed here in Battle Pickering. We have 4 arenas hosting matches right now. So the crowd, as big as it is in front of Orange here, is equally big in front of the other 3 arenas that we've got matches being played on right now. And as we get down into the finals here, moving closer and closer to the semis and the finals of this tournament, that crowd is going to shift over to Orange here. You're going to see the large numbers that are with us here today, and it's great having everybody out, Jenna.
Yeah, the rain's gone away. Got a
The sun is
beautiful
back,
sunny,
yes, this is
very bright now.
Exactly what we've been looking for all
We're
day.
glowing, look at us.
We will keep our fingers crossed that is expected later this afternoon holds off, and hopefully that's what the sun is a sign of, that it has moved on and said not today, not raining on our parade outside. Not that we'll let it. This crowd and the people that are here today are having fun. They're keeping the spirits high, and the axe throwing has just been outstanding so far, Jeff.
Yeah, I've seen a lot.
So we're just getting set up here for our next match. And we'll maybe take one more run through our sponsors here and just thank them once again for all their help in helping us get IATC 2022 off the ground and underway so that we can present for the first time since 2020 the Wilson Cup. Once again, we are thanking our wood sponsor, Elm City, for supplying all of the cottonwood for the entire tournament, all the early stage tournaments this weekend. All the wood and cottonwood has been supplied by Elm. by Elm City, and we appreciate their help and appreciate their sponsorship. This tournament doesn't happen without them, and it doesn't happen without the help of Woodhouse Brewery, who's been a long-time member of our sponsorship team and helping us out with this tournament year after year. Many years of help from Woodhouse Brewery. And beyond the pale, clean cut lager out of Ottawa, as Jenna mentioned earlier, nice, cool, crisp, refreshing beverage if you can get your hands on one of them today. If you're in the building or if you're at your local beer store, check them out. They're also a great product. And White Claw Hard Seltzer, another great beverage.
Delicious.
Delicious.
Refreshing.
I see a few of them in the crowd today. People are enjoying those as well. So we thank White Claw for their help in putting this event on. Liquid Death supplying Jenna and myself and the rest of the crowd with liquid hydration in the water form in both mountain water, nice and flat, which is what we're drinking here, and they also have the sparkling water as well. And very, very exciting cans that they have here. And it's great water. It's
and
nice
a fun tagline. Who doesn't want to advertise something saying murder your thirst?
That's exactly what it does. I've had a dry throat most of the day, but not now. And last but certainly not least, we have Sandbagger gin-based hard seltzer. Another delicious beverage that I am also seeing throughout this crowd as we go down to Mark Davis one more time.
Tom, as you can probably tell from the crowd gathering behind me, as Battle Portland's GM Nate Payne continues to throw out 81 coins, I believe, or prizes. It is getting packed down here right now. I am just surrounded by people, and this is bringing back memories of when we were back here in 2019. I'm actually just going to talk with some of the spectators. Come on in over here, my friend. What's your name and where you at, my man?
Braxton out of Nashville, but I have no voice left.
No voice left? Wow, I couldn't have picked a better person to interview then. What are you feeling so far? You got a front row seat as we get down to the wire. What are you thinking of what you're seeing so far?
They're throwing just fire. It's incredible. They're all over it. Just consistent.
All right, awesome to talk to you. I'm gonna see if I can pick the crowd up before we get up. Hey, everybody! You're on TV. Scream for me! That's the energy we can expect from here on out. Tom, Jenna, back to you.
Thank you, Mark Davis, and thank you to our fan in the stands joining us for the fan perspective this afternoon. Great to have them on board, and as you can hear, the crowd is getting loud, as Mark mentioned. Tournament, working our way to crown the champion and hoist that Wilson Cup. We're just getting set up here. We're waiting on a couple of matches that are taking place on a couple of the other lanes here right now that will bring us back and get us our competitors, because as the bracket works its way through, sometimes games aren't quite ready. They aren't quite ready, as my tongue isn't apparently either, to be speaking. But that helps us fill in. As matches end, then they start filling in. So just waiting on that match to finish, and as we head down to Commissioner of the IATF, Matt Wilson, wearing his referee jersey today, and we head down to Matt now.
Okay, everybody. Just so everybody knows now, we're into 4 out of 7 from here on out in the tournament. This is basically the quarterfinals from here on out. It's a little weird to mark where the quarterfinals and semis are in a double elimination, but this is basically quarterfinals here on out. Everything's happening here on these orange lanes, and we are 4 out of 7 from here on out, so let's do this.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. As you heard him say, we are down to best 4 out of 7. It gets grueling from here on out, does it not, Jenna?
It's the same thing. It's a different game at this point. Same element that Premier adds to league and adds to competition. When you go from 3 out of 5 into 4 out of 7, you'll see that people stumble a little bit. You'll see that after that third win's established, people pause. They have to double check, okay, another round's going to come up, so see a little bit of that.
And it's going to be grueling as well for the B bracket folks that we've talked about earlier. They're not going to get much rest now. They're throwing a lot of 4 out of 7s. They're hoping to get those matches done early, but that's not guaranteed, especially with the level of competition as we're working our way down through the bracket now. We're down to the final few throwers at this point. So they'll be throwing a lot of matches. Their only break at this point is going to be during that A bracket final to determine who makes it to that championship final.
Yep.
and then they will continue playing. But it's going to be a long stretch here for the B bracket as they hope to put it away here. As we bring up the stats for our next match. Oh, we have Jonathan Morgan, our finalist from 2020, losing out to Kuya Rander a couple of years ago, facing Nicholas Colavecchia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. I'm seeing it for the first time here. But Nick Colavecchia, who's doing well as you have a look at his stats here, his clutch call rate percentage for both players is very high, which we expect as the day moves along. And throughout this tournament, you see players constantly going for clutch, constantly trying to put the pressure on their opponent, or they're in a position where they're tied in the final and then they both decide to go for it. Clutches hit, also very high, 7 and 5. They're hitting them when they need to have them hit as they've moved through this tournament. This is going to be a very competitive match. As we said, Jonathan Morgan, our runner-up from 2 years ago at the Axe Dome, losing out only to Kuya Rander.
Second place is still impressive. So nothing to be ashamed of in that performance.
Not at all. And he's, as we've said, he's still moving through the tournament. We're about to call his match as he comes up here. So this is going to be an exciting one. We expect high heat and lots of throwing as we head down to Mark Davis for a moment.
Those of you that are in the facility, we are still waiting on Nick Kay. Nick Kay from Alberta. I'm hoping I can actually get on the PA so that everyone can. Nick Kay, we are looking for Nick Kay. If you see Nick Kay, his game is up. Washroom. We'll tell him to hurry up. All right. Well, that's our announcement for now. We're still waiting on Nick Kay so we can get our matchup going. For now, Jenna, Tom, I'll send it back up to you.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate that announcement as we wait for Mark Kay to make his way back here to play his match here against Jonathan Morgan. As we heard, he is just using the facilities. He will join us shortly. So, welcome to everybody that is joining us. Welcome to everybody at the venue here today that's watching inside that can't actually hear me at the moment. But outside, we have our tents and party going on with a 90-inch screen outside and four 75-inch screens outside as well. So hello to everybody outside. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the show out there as we prepare for this one. And one more time, for anybody that's joining us and new to the sport, Jenna, take us through the scoring and how the scoring works here today.
So we're looking at 5 throws per round. And so this lineup, use the black line as our starting reference point. Your inside bullseye there is worth 5, red ring is worth 3, blue is 1, though we haven't seen many of those today, if any so far. And then we're looking at our clutch at the very top there. Now, clutches for us are a little bit different in the Premier rule set. So normal clutch is just that 2-inch wide green circle, but for Premier, we've added a white rectangle on the interior of it. And so players need to break the top and the bottom plane for it to be considered good now. So gotta be on your A game today.
Perfection is the name of the game. As you can see on the far side right now, we have David Saikon playing. I'm gonna need to double check. Spicy Tuna is his opponent. We'll check on his first and last name. But his nickname is pretty spicy. Spicy Tuna against Big Class Action Lawsuit at the moment as we still are preparing here briefly for the match between Jonathan Morgan and Nick Kay. And I've been informed it is Matthew Kramer on the far side. So Spicy Tuna, also known as Matthew Kramer, facing David Saikon. And as we look at the board here, they're tied on round number 1. 4 axes in, heading to the final call, and they both decided to go clutch on the final throw to decide round 1. Saikon low and away. Matthew. Spicy Tuna high and outside. So they will go for Big Axe to decide round number 1. Matthew Kramer and David Saikon on the far lanes here on orange at Battle Pickering are in Big Axe for round number 1. And a bullseye there from Saikon. Matthews, spicy tuna Kramer, needing a bullseye here to keep round one alive. Deep breath. And he's off. And he's in there. That's a good bullseye. So now, both players have hit a bullseye. They can stay on the regular board or they can go for clutch.
They have the option. They don't have to go clutch, but they do have to unlock it.
Hitting that bullseye activates the clutch option here in Big Axe. But it's high and away from David Saikon. Matthew Kramer looking to live up to his nickname here, Spicy Tuna, and put this one away.
That's another nickname we need an answer from.
Oh, he's a little bit low, as you can see the white up above his axe there, which means he has missed the top line. You got to hit the top and bottom, don't you, Jenna?
Break the top and the bottom.
Not good enough to just hit the green dot as it used to be. You got to split that white box inside the clutch now. High and away from David Saikon. So a chance to win round one here for Matthew Kramer. He lines up his throw. Oh, and he's high and away. Now you're noticing these two players, Jenna, the standard Big Axe when you're holding it with two hands is to go two hands over top of your head. You're seeing both of these players actually going beside their head and still throwing two hands. So there's a few different techniques, I guess, to throwing the Big Axe.
It all comes down to personal preference. If this is the way they've practiced and honed in and found the best accuracy, they are not going to deviate from it.
Stick with what you know and what's comfortable. As we head to the third Big Axe opportunity. Pardon me, it's the fourth Big Axe opportunity here in round number one between Matthew Kramer and David Saikon. Kramer looks like he's just outside. And we're coming back to our main focus here. Jonathan Morgan and Nick Colavecchia. Round number one, best 4 out of 7 now. Both these matches that we've watched, as you hear some cheers from the far side, we had a clutch from David Saikon over there. In this match on your screen now is Jonathan Morgan and Nick Colavecchia, also known as Nick K, and Fancy Man. Double bullseyes there, and we head to the fifth and final acts of round number one, tied at 20. Clutches have been called by both players. Fancy Man, Jonathan Morgan against Nick K. Ooh. Both players are just outside, one to the left to the right, the other to the right of the right. But no clutches hit, we go to overtime anyway. Round one is tied at 20. We'll go to Big Axe to decide round number one. As we head down to Mark Davis for a second.
Tom, I just wanted to point out, and I'm just going to say this really quietly because you can hear me, Nick Colavecchia is the last remaining Canadian in this tournament.
That is big news. As you heard it from Mark Davis, the final Canadian representative. So for the first time, Nick K is still in this, but we may see a non-Canadian champion.
For the first time.
Jonathan Morgan hits his bullseye there, so Nick K, an opportunity here. And that's a bullseye from Nick K, as he gets the confirmation from our scorekeeper. That's a good bullseye. So we continue on in overtime here of round number 1. Clutches have been called. Ooh, and Fancy Lad is high and outside. Well, he used to be Fancy Lad. He's now a Fancy Man, I see.
Fancy Man.
Fancy Man, Jonathan Morgan. Last time we saw him, he was Fancy Lad. Quick nickname change, but he's wide to the right of that right side clutch. Nick Kay with a clean clutch here to take the 1-0 lead. Oh, and it looks like he's high. Oh, he thought he had it, but he's a little too high. Not breaking both lines there. Got to get the top and bottom of that white box, as you saw on screen. He only got the top. And it looks like on here that he's got it. That's a good clutch. Good clutch indeed, as the crowd shows their appreciation for that great throw. Nick Kay needs a clutch here. Oh, and he's low, away, and outside of that left side clutch. So Jonathan Fancy Man Morgan takes round number 1 and a 1-0 lead here in this best 4 out of 7. We head to round number 2, 1-0 for Jonathan Morgan. Double bulls there. The crowd not appreciative of Mr. Morgan hitting low on that one. They want it cleaner from them at this point, but it counts nonetheless. So we go to axe number 2, all tied at 5. Now we're tied at 10. That was a little cleaner there from Fancy Man. Nick Kay dialed in on the far side there with quite the shirt on that he's got over there, Nick Kay.
The entire outfit, those shorts to match.
Very colorful. And they're both back in. There it is. Jonathan Morgan has found that center of the bullseye, and the crowd is off his case. And both players dialed in here as we head to the 4th axe. 2 axes remaining in this round. Round number 2. Double bullseyes again, and we go to the 5th and final axe, tied at 20. Clutches have been called by both players. And clutches, potentially, will decide round 2. Oh, it looks like we're going to big axe. Potentially here. Nick Kay looked good on camera anyway. Matt Wilson out with the cameras to have a look. That one's good. No good on this side. It looked good on camera, but upon official review, no good is the call. And we are all tied here, 1-1 between Fancy Man Jonathan Morgan and Nick Colavecchia, also known as Nick Kay, with an exclamation mark. And he puts an exclamation mark on that throw. Right down the middle. Jonathan Morgan a little low. Thumb is up. Just tucked it in. Another one from Nick Kay right down the middle. Morgan down the middle. We stay tied, 10-10. Mark Davis, what are you seeing down there?
Seeing a lot of great throws. Jonathan Morgan, obviously second place in IATC when we last did this in 2020. Not just a great thrower himself, but also a great teacher. Obviously, with Detroit Axe, they like to bring up young up-and-comers. He was actually at Battle Vaughan this past Wednesday, and when he showed up at Battle Vaughan, we brought in some new throwers, and within a period of less than 10 minutes, Jonathan Morgan had turned these new throwers into completely different throwers. They say those who can't do teach. That's not the case with Jonathan Fancy Lad Morgan.
He is definitely good at both.
Fancy man now, Mark.
Fancy man, not Fancy Lad. He has changed his name, but not his throw, as he stays good and clean here through the first 4 throws. Tied with Nick Kay. Nick Kay. Clutch is called. Morgan is wide. Nick Kay hits his clutch and takes a 2-1 lead in the match. In this best 4 out of 7, Nick Kay leading 2-1 over Fancy Man. Nick Kay in the colorful shirt. Fancy Man wearing his two-tone grays. On the right side of your screen, Jonathan Morgan. On the left, Nick Kay. We are in round number 4. A 2-1 lead for Nick Kay. Axe number 2 goes down as a bullseye for both, and we stay even here in round number 4. All tied at 10. Nick Kay's good. Jonathan Morgan's good. All tied, axe number 3. Complete, we head to axe number 4. Double bullseyes there as well. 5th and final axe of round 4. All tied at 20. And that's high and away from Jonathan Morgan. But not from Nick Kay. It looks like he's got it on camera. Our scorekeeper's in. And she's called for the ref. Camera looks like it's there. I think this is a situation where he's stripped the outside line. And sure enough, he has. And Nick Kay now with a commanding 3-1 lead on Jonathan Morgan. This best 4 out of 7. 5th round. Axe number 1. Nick Kay has a chuckle with the scorekeeper. He needs to collect himself. Jonathan Morgan has thrown his bullseye on the first axe here of round 5. And Nick Kay collects himself after a laugh and hits his bullseye. As we head down to Mark Davis for a quick chat.
Something that Nick was actually informed about by his scorekeeper is in the last 3 rounds, he actually threw a Premier Rules 81, which some people struggled under the old rules, the old standard rule set where it was touch to hit the clutch and majority bullseye, and Nick just did it like it was nothing in the middle of a world championship race.
That is very impressive for sure, to be certain. An 81 at any level, as Mark mentioned, is very difficult, but to be doing it here today. And so far, he's gone beyond that. He's ultra perfect, we might claim it at this point.
We're going to have to get some new words for things we're seeing today.
As double bullseyes there, Nick Kay keeps his streak alive. 5th and final axe of round number 4. Pardon me, round number 5. Nick Kay with a 3-1 lead. Jonathan Morgan needs this one. And a rocker there from Jonathan Morgan. That's a tough one. Nick Kay, the streak is done. He is not ultra perfect anymore, but what a performance there from both players, and that streak of bullseyes is still alive. But they've called clutch here and both missed, so we head back to Big Axe. Jonathan Morgan got away with a bouncer there, Jenna. Nick K to throw first here. Oh, what do we have here? It looks like he's just creeping up into that 3 area. And it is, in fact, a 3. Nick K in agreement. No need for the scorekeeper or the referee here. Bit of cheering on the far side as they have just completed round number 4. I apologize. They are headed to overtime in round 4 on the far side with David Saikon leading 3-0 on the far side over Spicy Tuna. Matthew Kramer. And on this side, Jonathan Morgan stays alive, getting his bullseye and pulling it back to 3-2, heading into round number 6. Players switch sides. Looks a little low. And a bullseye there from Jonathan Fancy Man Morgan. Nick K calling for his opponent to come have a look and see if they can decide. They're saying it's good. The opponents agree. That's a good bullseye and we stay even. Axe number 2, round number 6. Bullseye from Nick K. Bullseye from Jonathan Morgan. All tied, axe number 3. 10 all. Bullseye from Nick K. Bullseye from Jonathan Morgan. Axe number 4. Tied at 15. 2 axes remaining in round number 6. That's 4 out of 7. Bullseye again from Nick K as he keeps that bullseye streak alive. Jonathan Morgan, an uncharacteristic 3 there. And that opens the door here for Nick K, Jenna. Leading by 2.
This is close.
Nick K has the 2-point lead here. 5th and final act, but they both decided to go clutch here. Nick K doesn't have to, neither player has to at this point. But they're both gonna do it anyway, out of sportsmanship. Nick K will either move on. He's wide, a chance to stay alive and force round 7 here for Jonathan Morgan. He collects himself. So, but does the axe agree?
It's gonna be that top plane if we've broken it.
Our referee, Matt Wilson, in to have a look. He takes the photo, thumb down! It's no good! And with that, Nick Colavecchia has moved on. With an 81 thrown in the mix. It won't officially count as an 81, but his stat line will continue through the day here with a very high percentage of bullseyes through that match. And a great match there as we go down to Mark to speak with Fancy Man Jonathan Morgan.
Jonathan Fancy Man Morgan, hell of a game there. Obviously, Nick K giving you no room to breathe whatsoever. Obviously tough, especially going for that final clutch. You've been throwing fire all weekend as far as like you were throwing premier clutches like they are standard. What are your thoughts on that round?
We need to draw the clutches lower. it was pretty ridiculous. I mean, those were all really close, and Nick was just that much closer. It's a game of like millimeters right now. We walk this way? Okay, cool. But I mean, more power to him. I think he's the last remaining Canadian, so hopefully he moves on and does the thing for Canada.
Yeah, he is indeed the last remaining Canadian. And obviously, you've had a hell of a couple years since we last saw you on ITC 2020 where you got second place. Obviously, relocating to Texas, starting a whole new life. What are your, like, has that helped you grow as a thrower, maybe change you a little bit in any way?
Totally. So just started a new axe throwing venue, the Cut Axe Throwing. So if you're down in Texas, you can check it out. But I think, you know, now I'm just throwing all of the time, and it's become my life because it's also my well-being. So it's the community, everything like that is very important to me, and I'm here to perform, but also have a good time. So nobody better than Nick to move on and carry the legacy. So.
Well, obviously, when we saw you last, you were a pretty brand new thrower. You've grown so much since then, and we're all proud of you. You had a lot of fans out there rooting for you. Any last words, really?
Go get him, Nick K.
That's it. Go get him, Nick K. Tom, Jenna, back up to you.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Jonathan Morgan. A great match, a great performer there.
And a good battle, like a very well-fought game.
It was close, right down to the wire. It came down to a clutch, and he was a little bit off. And there's not a lot of room for error, as we've talked about a number of times today, Jim.
Exactly, and in that final throw as well, they don't have to both go clutches. There was a point discrepancy. They weren't tied going into that final throw, but both players agreed, and we got our result because of it.
And as you said, like they didn't have to go for it. And even once they have both called it, if they happen to throw at different times or something, the opponent has the opportunity to say, no, I'm changing my mind if they see their competitor miss. But what you'll see and what we have seen today is no, once they've made that decision, they're going to clink axes and they're going to throw at the same time and let the result be the result. They trust their throws. They trust that they're going to hit the point values that they need to continue in the match. And if it happens, great. If not, they gave a good effort.
Yeah, and more axes to be thrown. So we are nowhere near the end just yet.
As we work our way down, I believe we are down to the semifinals at this point. So the final four, final five-ish, odd number, I agree. But you got to knock some people out to get down to the official stats here. But I believe we are down now to the semifinals. So there's a couple people left in B bracket. We have our lone Canadian Nick Kay out of Alberta, who we will see up here again here shortly. As we go down to the stats for our next match and take a look at our next two competitors here. They're just bringing that up for us now, but with the crowd, all matches will be played on our orange lane. We're done on our orange lane here, all the remaining matches, so the crowd here is getting quite large as we take a look. Austin Augusti and Cameron Burbro. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing these properly. These are the first time I'm seeing their names. I usually am seeing their nicknames as we bounce through the tournament here, but Austin and Cameron. We'll stick to the first names for now.
Austin and Cam.
But we look at their stats here. So far through today, Austin with a 4.8. Cameron, a 4.7 average.
Tight
per throw. So that means they're hitting their bullseyes. They're keeping it clean. They're next to perfect. They're not quite there, but they're next to. Those are very high stats there. Interesting one here, though, for Cameron. His clutch percentage, 0 at the moment.
Now, he's hit none of them, but he might not even have gone for a clutch yet today. So not super, could be telling, could be a little reserved on that one. So we'll see how his game goes.
As well, yes, you're right. If he hasn't had to make an attempt, if he hasn't tried for the clutch, then that's why his stats would be at 0. Exactly, Jenna. And only one coming from his opponent, Austin. So a tight one here. We could have a good match. Both players are hitting their bullseyes, as we're seeing on the stat line. But clutches haven't been a factor for either of them so far today. So we'll see if they become one here. And we expect that they will with bullseye accuracy as it is.
And with Austin's stats specifically, you can see that his clutch accuracy is only 33%. So he's only gone for 3 clutches and hit 1 of 3. So it's been an interesting day for both of these players with clutches.
So we prepare for this match. We'll head down to Mark Davis. Mark Davis, how's the crowd down there?
Crowd down here gets crowded and more crowded. In fact, I was actually just talking to both competitors that we're about to have up in a moment, and I asked how their clutch game has been today, how often had they had to go, and both of them agreed quite a bit, whether it be tied or clutches that they desperately needed. Obviously, if they made it to this point, they're definitely hitting them every now and then.
Well, we'll see how much of a factor the clutches come into play here in this one as we prepare to get things started. Players are stretching out. We will be beginning this match shortly. But the camera is on us, but it could turn to the crowd. As you can see, the vast number of people building in the facility here to give the people an idea of just how many people are in this building right now. And this isn't even including the folks that are outside enjoying the outside festivities at the moment, watching on the big screens. And it doesn't count the people watching at home, the fans at home. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the 2022 International Axe Throwing Championship and the hoisting of the Wilson Cup for the first time since 2020. It's been an exciting day. We've seen a lot of great matches on our lanes. We've seen heard and seen a lot of great action coming from the lanes that are around us, and we expect to see the same here as we move into this match. We're just giving the players a moment to get going. We want to make an announcement to the crowd, I believe, at some point here, and then we will get the match underway. But just trying to see here, Mark Davis, what can you tell us about our two competitors here?
Cameron Dubrow, as recently as a few weeks ago, was actually in a marathon league at Total Axe in Clinton Township, Michigan. If you're not familiar with a marathon league, which is a shortened version of a league that normally takes 8 weeks being done in one day. A 28-game regular season and a full double elimination playoff. So Cameron Dubrow obviously has some endurance on his side. Austin Agosti, honestly, I'm not familiar, but you know what? If you didn't know his name yet, you're definitely going to know it at the end of this match.
So we've got an exciting one coming up here now as we're waiting on Nick Kay to join us on the far side to get both semifinal matches. They want to play them both at the same time, keep things good spacing here, and keep them fresh as we move, as fresh as they can be as we move through the tournament here. There's a lot of action taking place right now as the crowd continues to build around the orange arenas here, and we try to find Nick Kay in the crowd to get him on to his next match so that we can get these two semifinals underway.
And you'd think with that bright, flashy jersey, he'd be easy to pick out of a crowd, but with this many people, it takes a little longer.
And he's not alone in the flashy outfits. It's the crowd. You can see them out there, and I'm sure you did as the camera was panning around. There are a lot of bright colors, a lot of fancy outfits. Nick Kay is definitely not alone. The axe throwing community is a very vibrant community, and lots of fun, lots of personality. And we're underway here between nickname Daddy and nickname Ziggy Stardust. Our two competitors, Austin Augusti and Cameron Dubrow. We are all tied up here, axe number 3. In round number 1 of this best of 7 semifinal. Double bullseyes there. As we head to axe number 4, all tied. 2 axes remaining. Double bulls again. 5th and final axe of round number 1. All square, tied at 20. Players switching their axes as needed. Both players have their personal clutch axes. A little bit comfortable, maybe it's something to handle or the weight to help them get that clutch. And we're wide from Ziggy Stardust. And Daddy is wide the other way. So we go to Big Axe here as you hear the crowd yell.
Doing our jobs for us.
But that's what we love. We love the energy coming from the crowd. The players feed off it.
This is part of it, too, This is why the IATC has gotten as big as it is. We've got people from all over the world competing today, and this just shows the skill that we have in the community.
Little high there from Ziggy Dust, but that's a great point, Jenna. As the sport continues to grow and develop on a global scale, as you've seen here today, we have the Australians, we have folks from the UK, we've got folks from all over Canada and the US and elsewhere. I apologize if I'm not naming everybody, but throughout the IATF, we have representation here today. Traveling from far and wide to join us and to compete in this tournament. And as the tournament continues, or as the sport continues to grow, we'll see more from all over the world. As we head to the second axe of Big Axe here in round number 1. Clutches have been called. Ziggy Dust is wide and outside. Wide as well. Tough break there. Austin Augusti and Cameron DeBrow all tied up here in round number 1. Third axe of Big Axe. Clutches have been called again, I believe. Cameron DeBrow, also known as Ziggy Stardust. Oh, he gets the clutch, but not enough of it. And not in the right spot. Austin Augusti, also known as Daddy, stepping up here. A chance to win round 1. Blow it away, so we continue here in round 1. Cameron leading us off here in axe number 4 of Big Axe. And he's high and away. Austin, chance to put it away here. And he gets it right down Main Street. Premier clutch hit with the Big Axe. And Austin Augusti takes round 1. Mark Davis, what have you got for us?
Tom, I'm down low here with Dave Alviso, number 1 seed and also fellow thrower out of Ace Axe throwing with Austin Augusti. And Dave, I was telling you off air, you look like a father watching his child ride a 2-wheeled bike for the first time. You're feeling the tension right now, obviously.
A smidge, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we work together every day. We train all the time. I help build every axe that he throws. When I came to Ace Axe, he was brand new, and I've helped train him. And we've worked our asses off, and he's absolutely killing it right now, and I want him to take it all.
Dave Alviso, everybody. Dave, I'll let you get back to your nerves. Watch your fellow competitor here. Tom, Jenna, back up to you.
Thank you, Mark and Dave. Good insights there on Austin, as he has a 1-0 lead here. We are in round number 2, best 4 out of 7. 5th and final axe. We had a couple of threes thrown there.
They were tied going into the final, and Ziggy decided to stay down. Got a bullseye.
He actually had the 4-point lead coming into that one as a 2-point lead, apologies, as Austin had hit a couple of threes in that round while we were talking to Dave Alviso. And that does it. Cameron hits his bullseye, and he's going to take round 2. We are all tied 1-1 here in round number 3 of this best 4 out of 7 semifinal. Austin Augusti and Cameron DeBrow. Axe number 2, all tied, 5 apiece. Axe 3, still tied, all even, 10 all. we stay even. Fifth after the fourth axe, pardon me, after the third axe, heading into the fourth axe. We are all tied at 15. And again, Ziggy Stardust, Cameron DeBrow takes a 3 there, so a 2-point lead for Austin Auguste on the final throw. And he gets his bullseye, forcing a clutch from Ziggy Stardust. And he's high. And that is going to give Austin Auguste the 2-1 lead here. As Ziggy Stardust, Cameron DeBrow was high of that right side clutch. So we go to round number 4. 2-1 lead for Austin Auguste. And we stay even here. Axe number 2 tied at 5. Double bulls again. Jenna, some uncharacteristic threes here from these two competitors.
I mean, this is also Premier rules, so things are going to get a lot closer. It's going to be a lot tighter to get that perfect bullseye. So far, so good. So far, so good in this round.
Round 3, we are all tied up at 5. We've dialed it back in and kept those bullseyes alive. No threes so far, and we head to the 5th and final axe, tied at 20. Clutch is called by both players. They'll switch their axes and make their attempts. Ziggy Stardust is wide. And low from Austin Auguste. So we go to Big Axe anyway, all tied. Neither player got their clutch, but we head to Big Axe to determine or decide round number 4. 2-1 lead for Austin Daddy Auguste. Daddy being his nickname. Thrower from Ace Axe in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Leading us off here in round 4 with a 2-1 lead here in the match. He's a little high there, so that'll be 3. Cameron DeBrow out of Choppers. Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He's low. That's unfortunate. With the opportunity to pull it back to even there, but he stays even here in the match. In the round, pardon me. Oh, and another 3 there from Austin. So the door is open here for Cameron DeBrow. And he nails it, pulling the match back to even with a dead center bullseye. And that takes round number 4 and ties the match 2-2. We've got a tight one here, Jenna.
This is gonna be good. This is the level we're at when we get down to semifinals and we get into the finals even. It's gonna be a lot of this.
We expect a lot of 7-round matches here as we move forward. Double bulls there to start us off in round 5. As Austin and Cameron look to take the lead here and put the pressure on their opponent. Austin had it. Cameron has battled back square here. Tight one there, but thumbs up from Austin, so Cameron's good. And we stay even into the 3rd axe, tied at 10. And we stay tied, 4th axe, tied at 15. 2 axes remaining in round number 5. All square at 2, best 4 out of 7. Double bulls again, 5th and final axe. The clutch axes are coming out as both players look to put this away. Excitement happening on the far side, but on this side here, clutches have been called. Ziggy Dust looks like he's maybe just wide. And is Austin a little bit low? The referees will come out, scorekeepers. Wilson has been called. Our official referee, Matt Wilson, to make the call here. He will have to take a look at both of these. They're both right on the line. Just whether they're splitting that box, Jenna.
Now this gets tough as well as you get a clutch that's been chewed up a little bit. Had a lot of people throwing on it. Things start to get a little distorted. So there's an advantage to putting a brand new board, a brand new clutch. You can see most of our players in the last few rounds on that right target have only gone for the right clutch because of how crisp and clean it looks.
And this one is super tight as they're asking again to double check. They've taken their photos. They're pulling the axe out to determine if they split that black line. And it's a good clutch for Austin Auguste. And it looks like Cameron DeBrow was wide. So Austin Auguste takes the 3-2 lead into round number 6. And we started off with double bullseyes. Cameron DeBrow, some work to do here. Looking to force round number 7. Austin Auguste looking to put this one away. Axe number 3, all tied at 10. Double bulls again. It's good. The bottom of that axe must have been out. It looked like he was maybe drifted a bit low, but with the bottom of the axe out, it is only what's in the wood, right, Jenna?
It's exactly it. So a lot of players have adapted their throw to land on that perfect angle.
That bottom of that axe out so that it's not touching the wood, because if it's not breaking that surface level of the target and touching that paint, it's okay.
Doesn't count.
5th and final axe here, round number 6. Looking to force game 7, Cameron DeBrow. Cut. Oh, he's a little high. That's not going to count. Austin Auguste to put it away. Oh, he looks like he's got it. The crowd thinks so. The camera says so. The refs say so. That's a good clutch. And Austin Auguste is moving on. He takes that one 4-2. What a match that was. Tightly contested between those two American competitors. And Ace Axe Pittsburgh's representative, Austin Auguste, is with Mark Davis.
Austin Auguste, obviously one hell of a round. Obviously, getting to this point in the tournament, it's got to be nerve-wracking. How are you feeling right now? Are you relaxed or are you feeling the tension?
So I'm trying to stay as relaxed as possible. You know, when I tense up, that's usually when I start to mess up. So I'm trying to stay as calm and relaxed as possible.
You know who else is nervous? Your boys over here. Dave Alviso was watching you like a proud dad because Pittsburgh makes the podium one more time. He mentioned that, Dave mentioned he's made every axe that you've ever thrown. You gotta say, are they performing the way you want them to?
Yeah, they sure are. You know, he made my shot pro, my big axe. My plum, he definitely touched up. Shout out to Kevin Bradley for the handle, but Dave touched it up and he's made them work for me. So I have unbelievable love for Dave.
Austin Auguste, I wish you the best of luck. You are the A champion with a chance to be the first ever American International Axe Throwing Champion. Any final words?
Let's just go. Let's get this final done.
Let's just go. Let's just get this final done. Tom, Jenna, back up to you.
Thanks, Mark, and congratulations, Austin, the A bracket champion to this point. His work's not done yet, though. He awaits the B bracket to see who his competitor's going to be. But he has a good chance because now he has to lose twice.
Exactly.
He has not lost all day. He has not lost all weekend. He's got to lose twice.
Yep. And B bracket's got to fight. B bracket has to win twice, so we'll see what comes out of this game.
So as Austin Auguste waits in the finals for his opponent, we check in on the other semifinal between Nick Colavecchia and David Saikon. Currently, it appears it's a 3-1 lead for David Saikon over Nick Kay. We are in round number 5. David Saikon, our mid-class action lawsuit, versus Nick Colavecchia, also known as Nick K. And it's a hard K with the exclamation mark on the end there. And our referee, Matt Wilson, is out to check this one to determine if this is a 5 or a 3, and this one's close, Jenna. We don't have quite the same angles as we have on this near side right below us, but we've got our on-the-floor camera and our behind-the-scenes camera as we try to get a good angle here, and it is a 3. It was tight. It was just leaking down the bottom there.
This is that element that Premier adds to the game now, where you've got 99% of a bullseye, not good enough.
It's not 100. It's not any good. It's tough saying that, but that's where we're at with the sport these days in the high skill level. As we've mentioned through the day, perfection or bust. And they've dialed it back in here. Double bullseye, 15-13, axe number 4. 2 axes remaining here in round number 5. A 3-1 lead for David Saikon over Nick Colavecchia. And again, we have a scorekeeping review. Now, as we await for this call, we should mention, because that was an A bracket, Austin Auguste has moved on. Cameron DeBrow is not done yet. He can come back. We could see that match again.
Yeah. So this is our top 4, though. These are the 4 men who could win this whole thing. So we'll see who takes it.
So Cameron DeBrow falls to the B bracket. He awaits an opponent. He will play actually the winner of this match that we're watching right now between Nick Kay and David Saikon. And a thumbs up there from the referees as a good bullseye from both players. Keeps the 2-point lead for David Saikon as he's moving into the 5th and final axe with a 20-18 lead and a chance to put this away and move on to face Cameron DeBrow for the B bracket final. And Saikon is high and away. Clutch called by Nick Kay. And he's high and away. So that's going to do it. David Saikon moves on. And an impressive performance from Nick Colavecchia.
And we will have a U.S. champion for the first time ever today.
Indeed, and this will be the first non-backyard axe throwing league battle representative.
Champion. Okay, today's a day of firsts for all of us.
A day of firsts, as we are going to see our first non-Canadian, our first non-battle representative.
And our first premier.
And our first premier champion. It's a big day here at Battle Pickering, hosting us here today as we prepare for the B bracket final first, and then the Ultimate Championship final. And let's go down to Mark Davis, who's got Nick Kay with him now.
Nick, you had the weight of the world on your shoulders and possibly the weight of the country, right? I know you've been in a lot of tournaments, you've been in a lot of tough situations. Does that rank at the top of one of the most stressful tournaments you've ever been through?
Right now, yeah, this one was hard. This one's a tough one. And then, yeah, everybody kept reminding me, you're the last Canadian in, you're the last Canadian in. I'm like, stop it, stop telling me this. But no, man, it was a blast though. This was the most fun I've had in a long ass time. And we're being due a long ass time to have some fun, right? So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's been 2 years away. A lot of people have different setups on their own. Some people who know you online have probably seen your garage setup. Has that helped you stay warm through all this, and has it helped you get to where you're at right now on podium?
It does in a way, yes, but it's not the same, man. Like you're in a venue setting. Like look around, look at all these people. You don't have that in your garage. You don't have that at your home. You grind it out. You throw. You hit your marks, but you come here and it's the pressure, it's the people, and you got to do the same thing over and over again, right? So it's a different atmosphere, but it does help 100%. I'm not going to deny it. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm just happy to be here and made it this far. I'm like, yeah.
Well, you know what, Nick? You gave a hell of a run as he gets a hug from his wife. You're proud of him, aren't you?
You did good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful moment. Nick K, Kendra K, Tom, Jenna, back up to you.
Thank you, Mark, and what a great moment there, and what a great performance from Nick K. Our most colorful competitor that was remaining is gone. Our final Canadian, you can see the pressure that he had on him there, as he said, being told by everybody, but he handled it well and performed well. So he'll finish 4th place today. But a great performance, if you'd like to speak to that.
Oh, 100%, yeah. It's, at this level, you're seeing the best of the best. Everyone is dialed in, everyone is warm and ready, and having this big of a crowd behind you, too, adds a different level. Our competitors throw 4 out of 7 when they have league playoffs, but I don't think they have this many people watching their league playoffs.
Definitely not quite this many in venue, at your home venue, I can be certain of that. But great to have everybody here today as we work our way down. We are down to the final 3. It will be Cameron DeBrow against David Saikon. The winner of this match moves on to face our A bracket champion waiting in the wings, Austin Auguste, as we head down to Commissioner Matt Wilson to say a few words to the crowd.
Okay, everybody. We are down to our final 3 competitors. Let's give it up for everybody who's still in the game and everybody who threw today. Give it up for those guys that just got eliminated. That was some incredible throwing. Never disappoints. ITC is the best of the best. This is pretty killer. So, from here on out, all matches are happening on these lanes here where I'm standing. We're only having 1 match at a time. This match here is a B bracket match, so the loser of this is going home, and the winner of this is moving on to play an undefeated Daddy. All right? So Daddy the Thrower, that's his nickname.
Austin Auguste.
All right, so that's what we've got lined up here. We're just taking another couple of minutes. We're bringing the trophy up here so that when we do have a champion, they can hoist that bad boy up in the air. So just bear with us for 2 minutes, and we'll get this next match underway. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Thank you for letting us know where we're at and introducing us into the final 3. Austin Auguste, David Saikon, and Cameron DeBrow.
It's one thing we're missing up here. I need the bracket in front of me. We need to have, you've got your laptop set up, I've got mine on the chair down here, but I need something in front of us. Got to see where we're at. So updates help us too.
Yeah. As we wait for the next match between David Saikon and Cameron DeBrow, the B bracket here. They're the finalists of the B bracket. A win, they move on, as we've said a couple of times here now, to face Austin Auguste for the A championship. A loss, they finished 3rd. No.
Not bad.
No slouch in that.
No. Came 3rd at Premier IATC 2022. Okay. Only one person can say that.
And our 4th place finisher, who we just had, Nick K. He can hold his head high too, making it this far into the tournament, as everybody that made it to today made it into this tournament. The top 256 competitors in the world whittled down yesterday to the final 32, and now we're at the final 3. We have the cup. It is there. We head down to Mark Davis for a quick chat with Commissioner Matt Wilson as we prepare to present the Wilson Cup in just 2 short matches.
Matt Wilson, IATF Commissioner, joining me. Finally getting a moment to take a breath. You know, it's been 2 years since we've done this, and a lot has happened in that time. Obviously, these throwers have had to deal with the trials and tribulations of the pandemic itself, but also getting used to the new rule set, the premier rule set, where you have to be all the way in. Now we finally get to be here. What do you think of the bar that has been raised as far as new rules? Because obviously with these new rules, it took these throwers no time at all.
Yeah, you know, the rule change was something that we knew we had to do. You know, especially if you look at the 2020 ITC, and in the regular league play even, these top throwers are dropping 81s left, right, and center. And if that's the highest score you got, sometimes you got to make that high score more complicated. You got to make it more challenging. So I'm loving what's going on right now. You know, a lot of people don't like change sometimes, so there was a lot of griping when we made the change. But you know what? We saw the clutch rate drop from something around 85% down to like a 30% rate. So all of a sudden, the option to go clutch, the choice to go clutch becomes a really serious decision to make, where it was super casual before. Now, look at what happens though, right? The best of the best do their thing, and here they are just like crushing bullseyes 100% in, like it's not a problem at all. So as usual, all these throwers, they rise up to the challenge. They just get better every year, so.
I know you've been busy running around, but like I see a smile on you. You're on cloud 9 right now that this finally gets to happen again. What's the bounce back for the ITF been like?
It's been tough. You know, we made some choices during the pandemic to not try to push tournaments, to not try to find spots where we were allowed to, and to say, you know what, we're not going to do it. We're not going to, you know, create a gathering of people. You know, so we held out, and then as soon as we got the green light in Canada, where we knew we could get everybody together, March 1st, we were like, are we going to do this thing? Yes. When can we do it? June. Because, you know, why would we give ourselves lots of time to figure it out? But the team's been amazing coming together, the ITF crew and all the other axe throwers and staff at all venues that support this stuff. And I couldn't be more excited about being here today. So
we got a jam-packed house here full of axe throwers waiting to see who this trophy goes to. Any final words before we get started?
Just enjoy the show. You're not going to see a game like this in the axe world anywhere else. So soak it up. And these top 3 are killers. So.
Matt Wilson, ITF Commissioner, thank you for joining me. Tom, Jenna, back upstairs to you.
Thanks, Mark and Matt. We appreciate that. And he's right. We are down to the nitty-gritty. The final 3. Somebody is going home today with $12,000.
Yep.
A little more than they showed up with here.
I was gonna say, that'll pay for a lot of gas. I know Sheep Toes talked about that earlier. So, I mean, that'll get you gas, I hope, for more than a year.
And then from there, they get the prestigious Wilson Cup. They get to lift that. They don't get to keep it for the year,
no,
but they get to spend some time with it today, have a few beers out of it, and celebrate.
Exactly.
So who is going to compete for that? Let's find out now. David Saikon on the left side of your screen. Cameron DeBrow on your right. All tied. Axe number 1 is done. We go to axe number 2. And we stay even, tied at 10, with 3 axes remaining in round 1, best 4 out of 7. Double bulls again. We stay even, 4th axe, 2 axes remaining, tied at 15. Double bulls again. 5th and final axe tied at 20. This is the B bracket final. The winner of this goes on to face Austin Auguste. Down and away. And that is a clutch call and a shake of the head. No, neither player gets it, so we go to big axe as the crowd is excited for this. Cameron DeBrow to lead us off. Round number 1, we are underway here in the B bracket final. In overtime to decide round 1 between David Saikon and Cameron DeBrow, who's throwing and getting.
It's close.
Oh, he says it's a 3 as he just touches outside the outer rim of that black line. And that'll be 3 points. David Saikon, bullseye wins it. And he gets it, puts it away, and puts himself in the lead in this match. Taking it 1-0 here. Best, excuse me, bit of a cough there. Best 4 out of 7. That's the chance for Let's Go Saikon erupt from the crowd. And a 3 from David Saikon, maybe feeling the pressure a bit there, Jenna.
Definitely. I think when you have a crowd chanting your name, let alone 2 commentators feet away from you talking about you, doesn't help, that's for sure.
We are pretty much right in their ear at this point.
Best seat in the house.
I would agree with that. Right above the action here in the bird's nest.
I see why you do this. You get the best seat.
You don't have to fight for elbow space up
No,
here.
not at all.
And we are all the way through round number 2, third acts. I guess not quite all the way through, but a 15-13 lead, 2 axes remaining. Cameron DeBrow had the lead, but what is this fourth throw? It's a 3, and that puts us back to even, tied at 18, fifth and final act. Clutches have been called by both players. The crowd appreciative of the call. Ooh, and just outside from Saikon. And just high. It looks like maybe he's tucked it in with the length of the blade of the axe. You can have it outside that green as long as you've got enough of it in there to split the top and the bottom. As now referee Matt Wilson gives it the thumbs down, and that's going to be a 3. A 3, apologies. Wrong part of the board. That's not going to count. We're going to go to big axe number 2 of round number 2. All square in overtime. Low and away from David Saikon. That'll be 3 points. So a bullseye here. Puts it away. And there it is. Cameron DeBrow takes round number 1 in overtime. Apologies, I'm behind the times at this point. We are in round number 2. The excitement is getting the best of me here as we are tied 1-1. No advantage either way.
It's his first round, though. It was his first round, so it's all good. We'll let that one slide for you.
So we are, yes, he did win his first round.
There
You
you
are
go.
correct.
We'll say that one.
So round number 3 now. We are back. Round number 3, all tied at 10 each into the third acts of round number 3. Double bullseye there. Axe number 4, 2 axes left in this best 4 out of 7 B bracket final. And goal for Saikon for sure. As he comes over to have a look at DeBrow's. And it's good. They both agree it's good. And they stay tied. 20 all, 5th and final axe. As again, you see that sportsmanship. Both players agree, yes, we got good bullseyes there. Axes can come out, we move on. 5th and final axe, clutch called. Ooh, it'll be a tight one there from Saikon. What do we have here from DeBrow? They're both outside. We go back to big axe.
A lot of ties, but not a clutch yet.
Not a clutch yet. It's so tough here. Because those were both good clutches under the old rules. We'd still be going to big axe, but they were good clutches.
They were good clutches.
Not today. And they both miss. Bullseye hit.
Ooh, got a 3.
Oh, he drifts down into the bottom of the bullseye, so it's a 3. Touching into the 3, the red paint, 3-point value. So Saikon with the bullseye. Does he? It might be high. But the angle of the axe might save him here. Thumbs up. And thumbs up from DeBrow. So that gives David Saikon a 2-1 lead here in the B bracket final. Mark Davis, what have you got for us?
Tom, earlier I was talking with Cameron DeBrow because I noticed while he was throwing and raising his hatchet to go clutch, his hands were shaking, trembling. I asked him if getting to this level of the tournament is making him nervous. He assured me, no, that's normal. It happens even during league.
Well, that's good insight there, Mark. We appreciate that. Well, hopefully he can keep it steady as he moves through the B bracket final here. And it doesn't become a factor.
And that happens to the best of us. I know I've had 4 out of 7 games, even just a normal league night against certain opponents. I know when I face you, I'm always a little shaken.
There's a reason I'm up here now, not down there. I couldn't control the shakes. As we have a look here, bullseye from DeBrow. Saikon might have drifted down into the 3. They called for the referee. So the scorekeeper and the referee will make their way out here to have a look. Cameras are out. just gives us that extra little layer. On camera here, I'm calling it a 3, but I don't have that side angle.
And that's the tough thing. It has to be both sides. You have to look at both. One could look good. The other side could look like a 3. You have to always double check.
Well, and if the bottom of that axe too, if it's away from the wood, like from here in the camera angle we're seeing that it's probably connected, and then it would be a 3, but up close, and that's why they get the cameras, as we've mentioned, to get that zoom and determine if that bottom of the axe is in fact touching. If it's not, it's a bullseye. If it is, hairline, you get a 3.
And that's the nice thing about cottonwood. It lasts so much longer, so we haven't seen that center change, I don't think, all day.
I don't believe so either. We've seen the one side. You can see the still nicely fresh clutch, and it is, in fact, a 3. So David Saikon finds himself behind here, 15-13 into the 4th axe of round number 4. But he has a 2-1 lead. We go to the 5th and final axe. 2-point lead for Cameron DeBrow as he looks to pull even here in the match. The bullseye's going to force it. And the clutch from Saikon. The crowd says yes. The axe says, we're not sure. It's that black line. It does count, but again, the angle. He may have just drifted down, Jetta.
See, this is tough, too. The bottom of it looks like it's on the paint line. There you go.
And there it is, thumbs up.
And that black outline, the bottom of it, if they're laying on even an angle, the bottom could break it. The top plane could be off to the side of the clutch.
So for the 3rd time, we go back to Big Axe here
for
to
the
decide
4th time.
round 4. For the 4th time,
My
yes, my
goodness.
apologies. It is a 2-1 lead for David Saikon. The mid-class action lawsuit himself will lead us off here, looking to take a commanding 3-1 lead here in the B bracket final. And a bullseye puts him in a good position as it forces Cameron DeBrow into a bullseye situation here. Can't go for a clutch though, as we've mentioned.
Not yet.
And it's a 3. And just like that, David Saikon takes a commanding 3-1 lead as we head into round number 6. And if you add math with me, you know that we're actually only in round number 5. 3 and 1 is 4 done. We go to round 5. But we're looking to get to round 6, and hopefully Cameron DeBrow can get us there. But will David Saikon leave the door open or slam it shut here and move on to the championship? Double bullseyes. And we stay even here, axe number 3. In round 5. DeBrow and Saikon dialed in here in round number 5. All tied up, 15 all. 2 axes remaining. Double bullseyes again. 5th and final axe. I'm sure they're going to go for clutches, Jenna.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And there goes the axe switches. There's the clank for the axe. They've acknowledged it with their scorekeeper. They must acknowledge or it doesn't count. And here we go. Saikon looks good. DeBrow looks wide. Saikon is definitely in there. From my vantage point, there's the thumbs up, and just like that, David, the middle class action lawsuit, Saikon has eliminated Cameron Ziggy Stardust DeBrow to move on to the championship final against Austin Augusti. As the crowd, we will let you listen in here. As the crowd serenades Ziggy, and we will head down to Mark Davis to pull in Cameron DeBrow, Ziggy Stardust, to discuss that one. Mark.
Cameron DeBrow, this is the first time I've seen you smile in quite a while. A lot of people have different approaches to how they throw when they're in mid-match. Some people joke, some people are jovial. You were stoic, you were in the moment. What is going through your head when you're at that level of the International Axe Throwing Championship?
So biggest thing is just try not to be a head case, trying to think too far ahead. and really just don't show your opponents if you got any cracks or not. And if you got them, hide them. Just keep chugging. You don't know what's going to happen. That's the biggest thing.
Commentary, the Total Axe Marathon that you did a few weeks ago. You had a lot of preparation going into this. Now that it's done, but you're still on podium, are you relaxing a little bit? Are you feeling a little bit more at ease?
Yeah, so I'm in a lot of pain. I'm flat-footed. My low back is killing me. No, but this, I exceeded all my expectations for today. Tried to go in low, just do the best that I could, and I was bringing it for most of the tournament. Just here, hands are getting clammy, pressure gets to you, but hey, I had a shit ton of fun, and I couldn't be more proud of how I did. I was not expecting to get nearly this far.
I'm just going to take a wild guess. This is my last question. You're going to sleep like a baby tonight, aren't you?
Oh, fuck yeah. We got a beautiful Airbnb in Aurora. Nice little loft, is very cozy. I'm sleeping like a fucking baby, man.
We apologize for the language of Cameron Dubrow, but congratulations. That's okay, buddy. We're not on TV yet, but when we are, we'll watch your language when you see you next year, okay, buddy? Take care. Tom, Jenna, back up to you.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Cameron. What a great job. Placed his third place here today. You can hear the excitement in his voice. Can't contain himself. He's tired, though, he said, and it's a drag. You're playing this many matches and back to back to back.
Well, you made it to today. You were throwing all day yesterday, and so they're practicing from 9 a.m. to 10 and then throwing from 10 to 2 p.m. And I remember Cameron was at Vaughan yesterday, and he came up to me at one point, and he even had to verify. He's like, I haven't thrown a game in a little while. I don't see my name on the bracket. Where am I? And so I went and double-checked with our tech support. I was like, you've made it to tomorrow. You're done. That's it.
You're on to
You're
the next
good.
round, and as we saw, we end up playing a lot of games. We saw Sheep Toast for a while, back to back to back, because he's in the B bracket.
Yeah.
Same goes here for David Saikon now. He's heading into the final. We're going to head down to Commissioner Wilson. He's got some words for the crowd as we head into the championship final. Will it be one or two? Commissioner Wilson, take it away.
Okay. Let's give it up one more time for Ziggy, finishing third in today's ITC. Ziggy! Good stuff, Ziggy. All right, we are into our final matchup. We have Dave Saikon coming out of B, throwing heat, but we have Austin Daddy Agosti coming out of the A bracket, which means, let's go. Want to make sure we're clear, though. Daddy hasn't lost a set yet, so Saikon needs to beat Daddy in 2 full sets of 7, whereas Austin only has to beat Saikon in 1 set of 7. So if we play this set, the Daddy wins, he's our champion. If we play this set and Saikon wins, we got to roll it back and do it again. All right? Just want to be clear, make sure everybody knows what's at stake here. Let's give it up one more time for our top 2 throwers here today. And I know there's a ton of love in the room. I know there's a ton of love for both these guys in the room right now. But I need to ask you all a favor. When we do get to enjoy crowning a champion today, do not rush the lanes. We have expensive equipment in here. We're going to do an award ceremony later, and you'll have plenty of time to hug and carry around whoever it is, whatever it is that you want to do to celebrate with either of these gentlemen, all right? So please, respect the gear, respect the film crew, and keep it safe when this moment happens shortly, okay? Thanks very much, everybody. Are we ready to rock? You gentlemen ready to rock? We've got the board change. Everything else is clear. All right. Let's go! ITC Finals 2022! Let's rock!
I think safe to say we're all excited.
We are all excited. Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. The crowd, you can hear the excitement in the air. We're ready. The 2022 Wilson Cup all comes down to this. Austin Augusti and David Saikon. And we started off with a bullseye and a 3 from Austin Augusti. And as Commissioner Wilson said, Austin Augusti's got to be beaten twice here. David Saikon has to win twice. A loss and he's done. So a little less pressure on Austin Auguste than David Saikon perhaps. But at this stage in the tournament, they're both feeling it the same, I'm sure. And a tight one here from David Saikon. He has angled his axe just nice, and he keeps his 2-point lead into axe number 4. 2 axes remaining, 15-13. David Saikon. Double bullseye. 5th and final axe. David Saikon with a 2-point lead. And you can see Austin Auguste waiting to see the result of this throw. It is a bullseye as expected. Tight collar from David Saikon as he almost over-rotated there. So Austin Auguste going for clutch here to send us to Big Axe. And he got it! The crowd thinks so, the camera says so, and that was a no-doubter. As he pulled his axe out, Jenna, you could see he had split that right down the middle.
That makes the ref's job and scorekeeper very easy.
A whole lot
Takes
easier.
out that guesswork for you.
So we go to Big Axe now. David Saikon to lead us off here, round number 1. And a bullseye it is. Austin Auguste. Bullseye to keep the round alive. Oh, he's high and away, so that gives round number 1 to David Saikon. A 1-0 lead here in the championship final. Match number 1, potentially of 2. If David Saikon can get this 4 out of 7, he has the early 1-0 lead here over Austin Auguste. Double bulls to lead us off in round 2. Second axe, round number 2. 1-0 lead in the match for David Saikon. Double bulls. We go to third axe, tied at 10. The crowd oddly quiet. Axe number 3. Double bulls again.
They have to save their excitement and their voice when we go to the final one.
Yeah, if they yell too much now, they might not have enough left, although knowing this crowd and this community, I'm pretty sure they'll find a way.
We're not running out anytime soon.
5th and final axe tied at 20, round number 2. Clutches have been called by both players. Auguste switches his axe. Saikon sets his up. And away we go. Low and away from Saikon. He's not happy with that, but Auguste chance to win round 2. And he gets it, another one right down the middle.
He's just being so nice. It's just like, here, I'll make your job so easy.
Don't leave it up to the refs. Put it away, no doubter. Mark Davis, who have you got down there?
Actually, Tom, I meant to mention that me and you have seen Dave Saikon in this position before, way back in 2019 at the first ever Battle Royale where the No Bleed Bullseye was introduced. He was in the finals up against Corbin Decker at that point in time, almost taking it home, but unfortunately not. Not a stranger to these rules, not a stranger to being at this position in the tournament, and obviously it being the International Axe Throwing Championship, it's a completely different level.
That is for sure. It definitely is a new stage, especially after 2 years off.
And
But
at Novi, it was also a much smaller crowd, so you're adding a whole other element to this game.
But a great trip down memory lane. Well played, or well said there, Mark Davis. And well played by David Saikon as we go to the 4th axe. Has been thrown, and we're tied at 20 heading into axe number 5. David Saikon and Austin Auguste tied at 1, round number 3. Match number 1. Saikon high and away. That's his 3rd miss, Jenna. Austin Auguste high for the first time. Just a little outside from Saikon, but we're going back to Big X.
And they're still breaking clutches. They're still hitting clutches. These 2 years ago would have been perfect.
But not today. But they both miss, so we head to Big Axe to decide round number 3. Thank you, Jenna.
Happy to help.
Round number 3, Big Axe tiebreaker. And Auguste's high. That'll be 3 points. Saikon with a bullseye here can take the 2-1 lead. He took round 1. Auguste took round 2. And Saikon takes round number 3 as he keeps the bottom of that axe inside the bullseye. And that gives him his lead back, up 2-1 here in the first of potentially 2. Best 4 out of 7s here. The axes have been clinked. We go to round number 4, 2-1 lead. David Saikon on the left of your screen, Austin Auguste on your right. From Austin Auguste from Ace Axe Throwing in Pittsburgh. And David Saikon throws, I believe these urban axes and choppers, and a few other IATF members battle as well. He's no stranger to a great many venues, but I believe his home venue is Urban Axis Philadelphia. Double bullseyes there again. A quick check with Austin from Saikon, but it's good. Tied at 15. 2 axes remaining. Double bulls again. 5th and final axe. All tied at 20, round number 4. A 2-1 lead here for David Saikon as he throws first. And he nails it. He's dialed it back in after a couple of misses there. But Austin Auguste needs one now. Oh, after 2 very clean clutches from David Auguste. Pardon me, I'm mixing my names here. Austin Auguste. He's had 2 misses in a row now. And now David Saikon has a 3-1 lead. Could that be pressure, Jenna?
Oh, definitely. You've got everyone watching. You've got the 2 best axe throwers in the world throwing right now. One slip up costs you a game. One slip up could cost you a round at the very least.
And as we've said, both of these players, this is the first time this far into the tournament for both of these players, I believe. As double bulls, as they've dialed it back in, finding the center of those boards, keeping it out of the 3. 2 axes remaining, tied at 15. Double bulls again, 5th and final axe. As we expect, they are tied. And the crowd takes us to Big Axe. Saikon clutch called. We're not sure there. We'll have to have a look. He says no. But Auguste for the 3rd one in a row lets David Saikon off the hook as both players miss. They head to Big Axe. Now, a win here, we play another match.
Full set to do a whole other set.
For David Saikon. Auguste wins, we continue this one. Let's see what happens here. High from Mr. Saikon. So a chance here for Austin Auguste. A bullseye keeps him in it. It looks like from here anyway. Thumb up. Saikon says yes. Auguste says yes. Axes out we go to round number 6.
It's always a good sign from your opponent, too, when they look back for confirmation. You're already holding your hatchet. You're like, I know it's good. It's fine. Let's keep going.
Mark Davis, what do you got down there?
Tom, when Premier Rules were first introduced, a lot of throwers in the community were wondering whether it is better to throw the same axe the entire time or switch up. We have a bit of both here. We have Dave throwing his same axe, whether it's bullseye or clutch, whereas Austin Agosti is switching to a narrow blade for the bullseye and a wider blade for the clutch. I'm not sure how much of that theory is as if one is better than the other, but obviously, no matter which way you go, it works for them.
Yeah, as we've seen throughout the day, players are switching their axes on and off. That's great insight, Mark. Thanks for that. Double bullseyes there from both players. Their scoring has kind of fallen behind on us here a bit, but we'll catch up here. We are heading to Big Axe if clutches are missed or hit. And one is hit for sure. The other one, Austin Agosti, is low. From what I can see, and sure enough, Austin Agosti is low, and David Saikon has taken match number 1. We play a second one.
Do it all
David
again.
Saikon takes it 4-1. What can we expect here in match number 2, Jenna?
A lot of the same, but hopefully game 7.
As we go down to Commissioner Wilson here to talk to the crowd.
Dave took that round, so now we have the absolute final set of the tournament. This set of 7, whoever wins this set is our ITC champion today. So here we go, we're rolling it back to game 1. Throw well, gentlemen, let's do this.
You heard it from Commissioner Wilson. We're all tied here. Both players have lost a match now. We go to the ultimate final to decide the 2022 International Axe Throwing Championship and award the Wilson Cup. We head to axe number 3. We're still tied. 5-5 here, round number 1 of match number 2. Double bullseyes hit again. 4th axe. 2 axes remaining, all tied at 15. Round number 1, match number 2. Saikon taking round number 1, taking match number 1 by a score of 4-1. We're going clutches on the 5th and final axe of round 1. Austin Agosti on your left, David Saikon on your right. Saikon looks like he's good. Agosti looks like it's a little wide on the camera there. Saikon is good. Agosti is wide. Saikon takes a 1-0 lead in round number 1. Match number 2. We head to the second round. Bullseye there from David Saikon. Agosti matches with a bullseye. Second axe. Double bulls again. Axe number 3, tied at 10. David Saikon on the left of your screen, Austin Agosti on your right. Double bulls. 4th axe all tied up. 2 axes remaining. Double bulls again. 5th and final axe. Clutches have been called. David Saikon leading 1-0 here in match number 2. But he misses that clutch. A chance to tie the match for Austin Agosti. But he's high. We go to Big Axe. You can hear the crowd chanting for it. They want it. They know it's coming.
It's one thing where two missed clutches still leads to something pretty great, and everyone, if arguably, is like more excited to get to that point.
You never know what you're going to get in overtime. The bigger acts, you're adjusting. At this level, you expect them to be able to adjust quickly, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're just fatigued, right?
Oh, completely.
And the different weight and size of that axe could become a factor here as this match moves along. Austin Auguste is high and outside of the bullseye, so that's going to be 3. David Saikon to take a 2-0 lead. And he does! David Saikon takes a 2-0 lead, giving us 2 deuces up to let us know he's that much closer. He needs 2 more rounds to be today's champion.
He's helping us out. You throw a nice clutch, does our job for us. He keeps us updated on the score. What a guy.
Saikon back in the bullseye with his hatchet. Auguste dials it back in. Pressure on here now for Austin Auguste. He can't let David Saikon get too far away here. He needs to get around, take it one at a time, and try and pull himself back into this match.
And with Hatchet, it's coming down to the clutch every single time. They have not missed a bullseye yet.
Perfect through the 5s. Saikon just rolls it in. He was close to getting a 3 there, but kept the bottom out again. So we head to the 4th axe, round number 3, tied at 15. Now we are tied at 20, 5th and final axe. Clutches have been called. Axes have been clanked. The axeman's handshake is complete. And now Saikon throws his clutch. We'll have to have a look and see if it's wide. It looks like it's a bit tight. Austin Auguste steps up. And he's low, but Saikon is wide. We are going to big axe. Double miss equals big axe. This is tight, Jenna.
This is intense.
Pressure is definitely on Austin Auguste here. David Saikon can afford to give one up, but whether he should or not.
I don't think anyone would want to.
But Austin Auguste cannot, you would think, cannot let Saikon get a 3-0 lead. That might be too much.
That could also be the pressure he wants, though. You never know.
As Saikon hits his bullseye, Austin Auguste. He steps up and throws it down the middle to stay in this one.
And they're going up.
They're going up. Thank you, Jenna, for that. Activated clutches. Both have called it. David Saikon to lead us off. Looking for that 3-0 lead. Ooh. Now, tough one here. He's got the top for sure. But the bottom rolled out. So it's no good. Austin Auguste, chance to pull himself back into this match and force round number 4. Ooh, but he's just outside, so this round continues. They're going to go clutches again. They were close enough. They're both confident. They're going to go back to clutches to decide round number 3. Saikon just outside.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of throwers today, clutches, with big X specifically, stop after 3 and go back to bullseyes, kind of hone in again and then go back up. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what they do.
Austin Auguste here. Hoping we don't have to make that decision. Ooh, but we'll see what happens as he's high and outside. So tough to hit a big axe clutch here at the best of times, let alone when it's premier.
It's a 2-inch wide green circle, and you are standing roughly 20 feet away from it when you start.
Your axe size changes, you're throwing on a different angle altogether. But David Saikon has it dialed in this time. That's a big axe.
With a
Premier League.
Oh yeah, with a satisfying board split to boot. No bonus points.
That. Augusti looking to match. Ooh. And he's low and away. And that puts a stranglehold on this one for David Saikon. A commanding 3-0 lead here in the ultimate final. If he can get one more, he will hoist the Wilson Cup. Austin Augusti, work to do. It starts with getting one. And that'll help. He just has to keep pace for now. Take it one throw at a time. Get himself back into this match. Double Bulls. Round 4, match number 2. Best 4 out of 7. David Saikon leading 3-0. And now has a 2-point lead here with 2 axes remaining in the 4th round. 15-13. Double Bulls. I'm going to let the crowd take this one away. 5th and final axe. David Saikon with a 2-point lead and a chance to put this match away. It's good! The ref and the scorekeeper go in. He wasn't sure, but it's a good clutch and the crowd's loving it. We get to keep throwing axes. It's now 3-1, but still lots of work to do here. David Saikon just looking to close this one out. Double Bulls. Double Bulls again.
Now for those of you at home, you can't see Mark Davis right now, but he looks more nervous than either of these competitors.
He does appear to be, as he's enjoying the floor level views. And the double bullseyes being thrown by these players as we head to the 4th axe, tied at 15. Round number 5, match number 2. David Saikon leading 3 rounds to 1. Double Bulls hit again, 5th and final axe. Yet again, another opportunity for David Saikon to crown himself the champion of IATC 2022. And Saikon is good. The clutch here for Austin Augusti sends us to Big Axe. He's blown away! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, axe throwing fans far and wide, your 2022 International Axe Throwing Champion, David Saikon, as he's rushed by his best friends, Mike Cobb and Willie. What a moment, David Saikon. Your 2022 International Axe Throwing Champion and the owner of the Wilson Cup. As Commissioner Matt Wilson to present the trophy.
A very, very well-earned title. You can see here with his axe still in the board, I think that's going to stay there all night.
What a moment. Our first, as we head down to the floor, our first non-Canadian, non-battle champion, David Saikon takes it home. Mark Davis, let's have a few words with David Saikon as the crowd chants us in. As the cheers of Daddy for Austin Auguste, our second place finisher today. What a moment for him. What a performance by Austin Auguste. Mark Davis, take us away.
Dave Saikon, you are the international axe throwing champion, buddy.
Feels a lot better than second place.
What was that? What's that?
As someone who has a lot of experience with second place, this means a lot.
You had the support of most of this venue. You had the support of your boys Mike and Will over there. I've never seen Mike cry in my life. How do you feel right now? Put this into words for us, man.
Honestly, I feel like I still have more matches to play. Like I don't believe this is over. Like this is just surreal that I actually did this. I've thought about it, I've practiced it, I've worked my butt off to do it, but to actually like see my axe in the board and to hold that trophy, I've dreamed about that since 2016. I've had my heart broken time and time again, so this means more than just about anything else.
I got some people in the front that are begging you to say that you're the champion. Will you say it right now, loud and proud, buddy?
I'm the 2022 champion! Woo!
And one more time, David Saikon will lift the Wilson Cup as he gives it up for his opponent, Austin Auguste. Out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, ace axe throwing. And there it is, your 2022 Wilson Cup champion of the International Axe Throwing Championship and the International Axe Throwing Federation, David Saikon. And we head down to Mark Davis to speak with Mr. Auguste.
I'm here with Austin Auguste, AKA Daddy. Make some noise for him, guys. Or three people, I guess. Austin, man. Everybody in the building, give it up for Austin Auguste. Austin, man, I know you had a tough go there. Dave gave you the run for your money, forcing 2 sets. I know you're not hoisting that trophy right now, but you got to be proud of yourself, buddy.
I mean, I am. For my first IATC performance, I'd say I did a pretty good job. I mean, give it up to Dave Saikon. That dude just went apeshit. He killed it.
Well, you know what, Austin? You also had much support from your cohorts at Axe Axe Throwing. Like, what do you want to say? Like, do you credit them for bringing you to where you are today?
Oh, I absolutely do. Dave Alviso has been my mentor from the very beginning. Ace Axon, Joe DC, Nick Hordov, everybody that works at Ace has given me the opportunity to be here, and I could not be more thankful for them.
You know what? You may not be hoisting that trophy now, my man, but you got to be proud of what you've done. You've done more than what every axe thrower that's ever joined this federation has strived for. Congratulations to you, and good job today, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Tom, Jenna, that'll be it for me. Mark Davis signing off. Oh, wait, actually, I think we have one more thing happening here.
Give it up for your top 3. Ziggy, Austin, Dave, Warriors of the Axe that kicked ass today. Way to go, boys! Thanks so much, everybody. We got a little break here. The camera crew needs to take their lunch, but we got Canada versus US coming up at 4 o'clock right fucking here. So grab some food, grab some drinks.
You can hear the excitement in
Give
everyone's
Dave a hug,
voices
let's
here
party.
as we go. As Commissioner Wilson, who loves handing out the Wilson Cup, is having some fun with the crowd and getting us amped up. We're not going away just yet. We have a few more words to say, but first of all, thank you to everybody who joined us today on the broadcast. As Commissioner Wilson said just moments ago, we will be coming back for the Canada-US Skills Tournament Final. That is coming up as well. there will be a new link, so if you're watching on this link, please rejoin us on the new link that will be provided. Same YouTube channel, same spot, different link. So rejoin us. But let's have a look at the prize money here as we see what's been won here today. So in fourth place, taking home $1,800, our good friend Nick Colavecchia. Third place, I'm blanking on names here all of a sudden.
Cameron. It took me a second
Cameron,
too.
yes, I apologize to everybody at home and to Cameron for blanking on names here. But Cameron taking home $3,000. Second place, Austin Augusti taking home $4,500. And David Saikon walks away with a cold $12,000 from the overall prize pool of $30,000 for taking home first place of the International Axe Throwing Championship, hoisting the Wilson Cup, and taking a check for $12,000. And one last time before we take off here, we do want to thank our sponsors for helping us out here today and all week for this full event. It couldn't have happened without them. We look to our sponsors, Elm City Cottonwood, for supplying all of the cottonwood and all of the wood for this tournament. Great appreciation for them and the work that they do and getting it here. It is available in Canada and the US, and cottonwood is cottonwood. It's available around the world. But you are able to get it into Canada now as well, which is great, and it helped us get this event on.
It's a very big deal in the axe throwing community that cottonwood's available now.
And then we've got Woodhouse Brewery, Beyond the Pale Clean Cut Lager, White Claw Hard Seltzer, Liquid Death providing us with our canned environmentally friendly water, and Sandbagger Gin Bay Seltzer. One last time, thank you all to Jenna and to Mark for your help today. I'm Tom Black. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Come on back for the skills competition here in a few moments. Mark will be taking over for myself here and be joined by Mike Cub. But from all of us here at the International Axe Throwing Federation, myself, Jenna, and Mark, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you all again next year for bigger and better things.
More axe throwing, more premier clutches. We'll see how it goes.
And congratulations one more time to David Saikon, the winner of the International Axe Throwing Championship and the owner of the Wilson Cup. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you all again soon.